Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, I believe we are live now. Let me check out that our streams are working. How's it going, Jordan and Fawn?
Good over here.
Good.
Real good. Thank you, Lauren.
Looking good. YouTube is connecting and we are good. So if you guys are watching, let us know that that the streams look good. In the comments, drop a comment, where you're beaming in from, and we will reference those throughout the podcast today. Right, Fawn, this is episode number 61 today.
Can you believe we made it to episode 61 already?
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
We've been in it for 61 weeks now.
Yeah.
61. So did we start from our very first, or did we start our first as our 10th when we started going live?
I think we were at like our 10th or 12th when we started going live.
Right. And did we count that as number one, or did we count that as 10?
10.
Yep. Yeah. So straight up, we were pretty much.
Yeah, the first ones we didn't even have video.
Yeah, we didn't. We were doing them weekly too. We were just uploading it all ourselves.
Yeah. You guys have great camaraderie, or what's the word? You work well together.
We try.
Yes.
We try. Actually, it's pretty effortless. Mm-hmm. We actually, I think, really do work well together. Mm-hmm. But before we even started this project, Jordan and I spent so many hours collaborating on a couple pieces of art and just smoking together and jamming. And so there was a little bit of we were already aware of one another's workflow and creativity.
Right. Right. I felt like we worked really well together.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I bet it wouldn't have been as easy if we hadn't spent those hours painting together and doing those things before we jumped into something like this. It never occurred to me to think about that until just now. But
yeah, definitely. So much time in the warehouse. It was such a funny time too. I first came here from Columbus, and I didn't have I hardly had a place to stay. I'd go back to some dude I hated's house that had
he was basically living at a glorified Airbnb out of a bedroom.
It just became a nightmare. Miserable. So I just spent all my time in the warehouse, and I was still building clientele in Columbus. So I had all this time to sit and work in the warehouse. I was in there all the time. So we were just painting. I was in there painting day in and day out. So anytime that you weren't tattooing, I felt like you were in there painting.
Yeah.
I feel like it gave us a lot of time to chill and smoke a lot of weed.
Yeah.
Get to know each other's workflow. And then realizing we got similar visions. And then it kind of built into, I remember we had some preliminary talks about podcasting and doing a podcast. And then I think it was a few months later that it really started to kind of just manifest.
Yeah.
I think we started getting all the equipment, got the computer, and I was basically Fawn, let's do this. Yeah. It's time.
It's kind of, maybe that's one of the things that made it really unintimidating for us to work together, is we were both really starting from zero. There was not we were both in infancy with the project. Neither one of us had done it before. So it's been a complete, I don't know. When I look at this whole project, I see how much room we still have to grow and how much better things can be. But at the same time, we've come a long way. We've really come a long way. Our workflow, our comfort on camera, it's all really come a long way.
I think the comfort on camera is pretty wild. And how normal it is every week just to get on here like this in front of all of our setup. When we started from no camera, then starting with a camera, that was kind of weird because, I don't know. I've never been on camera like that. So it was just weird seeing myself talk like that all the time, but we got so used to it. And now it's just second nature. It's like nothing to sit in front of it and sit and talk for 3 full hours on camera all the time, every week. That's wild.
It has. Do you look forward to it? Do you look forward to your Thursdays where we just wake up and there's setting up, there's technical stuff, there's stuff that we've got to do, but once we're going and once we're live, it's really just kind of we're hanging out.
Right. It's just 3 hours of conversation.
Some weeks that's the only time that I'm just sitting and chilling. When it's you and Ben, sometimes that's the only time I have to just sit with my homies and chill. We just happen to be
that's sharing. Honestly, I feel so much the same. I have Emily I talk to all the time. We have great conversation, but then it's nice to have, Thursday's definitely that time to sit and actually for 3 straight hours to talk with friends. There's no other time of the week that I got 3 hours to spend talking to, friends. We're working all day.
Yeah, I feel sometimes I'll have a 3-hour FaceTime with a family member, but the sitting and chilling and just when there's 3 or 4 of us in the room together, or even when it's just the 2 of us hanging out, we still have, I think we have a pretty good time.
Yeah, I agree. I
I
definitely
will say,
agree.
I'm gonna chime in, you guys. I feel the same. Like Thursdays are really cool in my work week. It's like I listen to the podcast even if I'm, working on other things. I always like look forward to hearing you guys chat, even if it's just standard conversation for a little bit of it. So thank you for, I guess,
Thank you, Lauren.
persevering through the hard times.
Well, thanks
And one
for
thing
like
that
appreciating it, I guess, and enjoying it.
One thing that will make it better, I think, like if you're questioning like what could make it better, will be next year when you do actually get on the road occasionally and do some of those shop visits that you were talking about. That would be
Mhm.
really cool.
I think I want to reach out to Nathan Marty. I'd love to hop in and do a remote from his shop. And I think he'd really be down to do that. He's been hosting a lot of seminars and stuff lately. So I think it would be really cool. And maybe like we could even start collaborating with him when he's got guest artists and stuff in town.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're Red Trees. Like we all have our own like private workspaces. His new shop, at least I still haven't been there, but from like the pictures and videos, it seems like it's set up a lot like the old Red Tree, just big open floor
area.
plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
haven't seen a picture of it. I keep seeing like little small sections and pictures.
Mhm.
I haven't seen like the whole layout yet.
Yeah, I'm under the impression that it's just a big open
They're
floor
open
plan.
now though,
So
right?
yeah,
That's
uh-huh.
awesome.
Yeah, we need to just get with Nathan and like plan a trip, and it's super close, so it'll be easy. I was talking to Joey Knuckles. I have so many comments and questions about the episode with Joey Knuckles. That seems to be one of the favorites that like any of my clients that watch the show, they love that one with Joey. And I was just messaging with him about it. So I think I want to have Joey on again. And if he'd be down, I'd love to go to his shop on Parsons, Sacred Hand.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of like tattoo history in that shop. And I would just love to like have like an Ohio tattoo history episode with Joey. And then we'll probably talk about Bigfoot. I've got some Bigfoot videos I want to share with him that I found.
Nice. Well, I got 3,000 UFO videos to add to it. I forgot his take on UFOs. I'm sure he's into it.
I mean, if you're into Bigfoot,
We were talking about Bigfoot last time.
Yeah.
I remember that.
yeah,
If you're into Bigfoot, you got to believe in aliens.
I'm
I don't
down
know
with
how. I
other
don't know.
dimensional
I feel like
travelers.
that would be bold to believe in Bigfoot and then to not believe in aliens.
Fair.
I feel like that would be pretty.
You gotta believe. I don't think you could believe in one and not the other. I've always thought like there's a
I feel
possibility, like we don't know everything we think we know.
There's that. I don't know. Maybe it's because I believe in aliens so much, but like I feel like I could believe in aliens and not believe in Bigfoot. But I feel like if I believed in Bigfoot, I'd have to believe in aliens. But I guess you still don't have to because you can
It's
still not believe.
it's just about you know what I think it is? I think it's believing that the unknown exists.
Mhm.
You know, the thing that we can't explain, it exists. Whatever label you want to give it, or the multiple it's, theys. I think, it's just the belief in that
The
it
unknown
exists.
definitely exists. There's for sure crafts coming into our skies. I love it.
For sure.
For sure. Bigfoot, I really, really, really want to believe. I want to see something myself, and I want to see real footage.
I just know, like, as stealthy and sneaky as, like, let's say cougars are and can be, and like they can stalk you for hours before you even know you're being stalked. That's where, like, we're not at the top of the food chain. We don't have the keenest senses. We don't have the keenest hearing. We don't have the keenest smell.
Something that knows. I just feel like something that knows that we would be. I don't know. It would be very good at hiding.
Yeah. I mean, that it would have to be highly intelligent, way more sensitive than human beings, but it's really easy to stay 50 yards away from a human being.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're 50 yards away, it's really easy to hide.
Its ability to cover its tracks and its ability to hide and reproduce and do everything it's doing without being seen, and not really, there's not a lot of fur trail. They're not really getting caught up on the trees.
Well, that's where the interdimensional comes in.
Or the ultra terrestrial. They could be from inside the earth.
I'm with it. You see them where they're like, we're crazy, like
it'd be crazy to think of an
land
interdimensional
formations,
furry being.
caves. A furry being?
A furry being that
an
could be
interdimensional furry being. Maybe the fur is what allows them to travel interdimensionally.
You never know.
Maybe there's something about it.
Right.
Maybe the fur is actually a suit.
Microscopically, you get
Maybe
into it and it's just all sorts of like weird little.
Maybe the fur is
It's not
actually
just
like a
fur.
hypercharged suit that's like, oh no, I think we lost Lauren, but we're here.
We're here.
Yeah, maybe the fur is something that like enables their powers.
Oh, it could be. It could be. I like to think that.
Hmm.
But I like to wonder what these fucking UFOs are. Are they interdimensional? Ultra terrestrial? Are they from in between? Are they from outer space?
There's so
inner
much
space?
There's
The
so
space
much
between?
cool knowledge that's being gathered right now. I follow some like astronomy pages and space science pages, and it's just really cool, like the new photography that we can get our hands on. And I'm excited. Like just the age of new knowledge that we're walking into.
Right. Oh, I am so excited. I think that's why I'm just so excited for the future. I think it's really bleak to some people, but I'm so excited because there's so much at like we're just at this like tipping point of something really crazy happening. And I think a lot of people think it's gonna be like the end of the world, something terrible. I think just some crazy technology is about to just fucking do something really wild. If we can figure anything out about the things that are happening in the sky with aliens, like let's not even like cool, there's aliens out there, but the practical side of that is like, what is that technology? If we ever even touch that technology, that's wild. You know, I'm not a huge advocate of Facebook, but Facebook's going completely fucking metaverse on everyone. And now they're turning into a full like virtual reality system. They're coming out with like super high tech virtual reality.
I knew it was only
glasses
going to
and
be
headsets.
time.
As soon as Facebook bought Oculus, I knew it. I had a
Oh,
feeling.
is that what happened?
Yeah, that was when Oculus 2 came out, or the Quest 2s came out, those white ones.
Mhm.
Those they Facebook bought them out right before that. And then
Okay.
I thought it was weird because one day I got on my Oculus account and I had to register my Facebook or I couldn't use it. And like I looked online, I'm like, this is weird. What's going on here? Facebook bought Oculus.
Okay. Yeah, I figured it was totally going to turn into like a big VR lounge. And then from that lounge, you'd be able to go into different dimensions. Like the very first time I put the Oculus on and you're in that fake living room, and then you've got that screen in front of you that's basically like all of your controls.
But it's going to go to like times a fucking million. So the
yeah,
next
I saw it happening.
The next headsets that they have coming out can completely read your mouth and your eyes, everything, do all your minuscule facial.
So we can just sit in a chair and interact
with full facial expression. And
so you and I could sit here. You could be in like your alien avatar, and I could be in like my blue face avatar, and we could just be like chilling. Smoking a virtual blunt, passing it back and forth virtually.
Definitely. And so we can do that with the headset. And then what the biggest thing that they're trying to do is the augmented reality, where it kind of goes in between, where you can basically just put on glasses, and glasses, those will have, you can put a hologram of someone right in front of you, or you can put a whole desk space in front of you that you can work on, you know, basically just integrating a full virtual reality into our reality.
I think it's kind of cool. I've seen how many people are starting to share their virtual sculptures and things like that they're doing now. It gives everybody a space to share those things. Yeah, it gives us a space to share those things. And just like in our early days when we were podcasting, when we were just sharing your videos of you playing on your VR as the background to our voices, like by this time next year, we can broadcast you and I sitting here in our avatars doing silly things and sculpting and building things. And like, that's the stream that we can share.
I love it. I think people are really scared of the technology. And I ask so many people, as I think tattooing for me is a great way to, I think it's a great way to get a lot of people's opinions all the time from different walks of life. So I like to ask like all my clients, sometimes I'll ask them the same questions just to see what different answers I get from different people. You know, of course, aliens, I like to bring aliens up and ask them things like that. But I've been bringing up like the virtual reality things and what people think about virtual reality. And most people seem to like, I mean, not just virtual reality, but the Facebook thing that we're talking about. And most people seem to think it's a pretty bad thing. And I think it definitely can be, but personally, I'm not a fan of Facebook.
I was trying to get some of the rubbish out of the shop.
But I am a fan of
all kinds of things on the desk.
Man, this technology being moved forward. I think it's going to be so cool just to see what happens. But I think it's going to be really bad for a lot of people, you know, people that have not very much, you know, bad willpower in general, who already get sucked into video games, are going to be sucked into it even more. And I think there's going to be a huge level of acceptance where people just say, okay, this is a life I'm okay with living. I'm okay with living this half virtual life, you know, it's like a 30-year life will go to sleeping, 30-year life will go to virtual reality, 30-year life will probably go to real life.
Do you think there'll
I
come
think
a
some
point where
people,
people
it'll
can be
overrun.
paid for what they're doing in the virtual world?
Yeah, Facebook just hired 50,000 people to literally sit in that world and build it right now. And that's what's going on. They changed their name to Meta because of the Metaverse.
Right.
But with that, they hired 50,000 people to work that, brand new people. So they're working on something big.
It's crazy. It's exciting. I mean, you know, there's going to be every niche, every fetish, every like people are going to be able to connect in ways we've never been able to connect before.
And it's going to be advertising on the next level. People will be advertising.
It'll be
in
so
every way that they
subliminal.
can, every
Oh,
way.
when you're being bombarded with all that.
When you have a real AI person that comes up, talks to you, really knows your personality really well in the virtual reality, knows all the things you like, all the things you watch, all the things you do,
Mhm.
brings all those things up. And then it's like, hey, oh, you got that Fluval Evo saltwater tank there? Well, these are the upgrades that you could be getting right now. Here's the spreadsheet. If you just press buy
I
now,
can't
buy
help
now,
but
buy
notice that you were talking about your cyanobacteria problem.
now. Right? There's a part of me that wants it so bad. There's another part of me that's like,
I think it's one of those things where like
I don't like advertising, but I
I
also
think
do like advertising that's super tailored to me. So there's this split.
I think if you're one of the kind if you're the kind of person who is already pretty private with the way that you interact on social media, it's probably not going to change. But if you're the kind of person that is you'll put it all out there, you know, and I'm not knocking it, but like some people put all kinds of crazy personal information on their social media where like anybody can access it. I feel like it's going to make people that use social media like that, it's going to make them very susceptible to all of the negative sides where I think I'm pretty private about my social media. I use it as a tool to share my portfolio and what I'm working on. And, you know, unless you're actually like following my stories, you don't see a lot of my personal life. If you watch this, you get to hear a lot of my personal life, but like there's not a lot of it on social media.
Right.
So I
Depends
feel
on
like
how-
for me, I don't personally have any fear about it. And like my whole family is kind of very private with social media. And, you know, so I think when that's already kind of ingrained that privacy is your friend when it comes to how much information you share on the internet in any form. I think if that's already kind of ingrained in you, then it's not a scary thing to think of having an even more interactive space.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Because in essence, I think that's the goal of it. I think a lot of bad things can arise, but I think it'll create a much more interactive experience. And that's the thing is like, I think a lot of times we also judge things based on how we think about things. And like, we tend to think people think like we do, but there's so many other people that are so susceptible to so many manipulations and so many, you know, so many things, so many subliminal type things, but so much just in general, anything like they're just not thinking, might not even be thinking about how this is bad. Something being in there all day could be bad for their mental well-being. It's something that's pushed so hard because everyone's got a Facebook already. Okay, Facebook virtual, it's what we do now. So, you know, I spend 4 or 5 hours a day on my Facebook, not me, but like, let's say there's definitely a lot of people out there that probably do that. Then, you know, that's going to be going into the virtual world for 4 or 5 hours might just be like nothing, and then it just becomes completely normal.
I don't know. Like, could you imagine, like, for instance, say I've had a long day, I get home at like 1:30 or 2 in the morning, and I'm just like sitting on my couch and I'm like mentally unwinding as I'm like mindlessly scrolling through Instagram or TikTok. And my goal is to like just mentally decompress. Imagine if somebody puts on a headset and now they're so mentally stimulated that instead of unwinding, they're in this chat room, this virtual room, this virtual bar, this virtual nightclub, and now they're up all night long. Like, I feel like
Wires your brain.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the kind of person that I know this is random. I know it's random energy. I know it's random information that's being pelted at me, but that's why I just like scroll and kind of zone out. I'm not really focusing on every little thing. It's like my shutdown mechanism.
Literally, I feel like it's like adding another dimension.
Yeah.
Like it's like another dimension to create holograms like that and to work in a space like that. It's just such a wild concept that we've created. We can create another world, and then if we create a world that's solid, that everyone like, if
Do you remember AOL
world's
Instant
going to be
Messenger?
one big solid world, and everyone goes there, that's a whole nother world.
Do you remember AOL Instant Messenger, or was that before your time?
Yeah.
How old were you when you had your first like AIM account?
probably 12.
Okay. When you were 12, did you imagine that you would go from like sitting on a keyboard watching that somebody was typing to like video chatting and then conference calling
No,
and
but I
then
seen Tron
like
when
now
I was
we're
young,
in this
and
virtual
I
world?
wanted it so bad.
Oh.
I seen Tron at a young age, and I wanted to. A virtual world was like my ultimate dream. So when I found out virtual reality was a thing, it's weird being used to it now. It was so good when I first put it on, and it's still so good. But now, like, it's not as like astounding. When I get into it, it starts to be, and if it's a good game, like there's some that are really immersive, and it's just like so cool. Like, it feels so weird to walk into some rooms that are just set up so perfect, and you can pick up anything, and you're like, I don't know, you get like a weird nostalgia for a place you've never been type thing. Like you just
Okay.
get weird. I just get like weird feelings. Like, holy shit, I'd never feel this feeling unless I was here. Like I almost feel like I was here in Russia in 1945, some crazy fucking Chernobyl shit. Think of a game that I was playing. It
Right.
wasn't that, but like
Yeah.
it's kind of like that vibe.
I don't know.
But the realer, it's gonna be so real, so quick.
Do you think it will be? I don't know. There are so many pros of connecting, but there are a lot of cons into over connecting.
Moderation.
Yeah.
People just have to learn moderation and self-discipline. I just feel like, how do you learn self-discipline? I don't have an answer for that. That's a hard one. And that's something everyone's got to figure out. I feel like too much time staring at any sort of screen that's not your eyeballs, it's going to be bad over time.
Oh yeah.
There's no way around that.
Remember a few
Unless
months
they
ago where you're like, my
figure some
eyes,
science
they're
out.
weird. It's like, how much VR have you been doing, Jordan? You're like, a lot. I'm like, maybe
Yeah, I
cut
stare.
back a little.
Honestly, that could be why my eyes are getting worse, and I think that could be because I have, almost all of my tattoo drawing is on screens.
Mhm.
So like it's every day.
I don't know, man. So you are super high tech. You are stimulated by screens all the time. I mean, I've got TVs around me too, but you've got multiple screens
As
in
long
a
as I
lot of
can
your
keep my eyes
situations.
healthy and my body healthy, shit, I'm so okay with it.
Yeah.
I love technology, but I don't want to have to rely on it that much. But I definitely want to eat the fruits of reality, fruits of society and civilization. I feel like that's like, holy shit, to create everything we're doing is insane. To be able to do this VR stuff, it's just insane. I mean, there's so much bad that's going to come about because of it. And there's
Catfishing
so
on the
much
next
good,
level.
so much good, but like there's going to be people who are literally working in VR and they're getting paid to work in VR. And so it makes it worth doing because, like, I mean, how much?
Well, think
half
about
of
things
people,
like
half
this.
of people's jobs in reality they go to every day and they feel it's meaningless. And you go into a video game, you feel like it's meaningless because you don't get paid. But imagine you're getting paid to do it. It makes that literally so much more worthwhile.
Think about something like this.
So
For
how
some
can you say
people,
it's not
it
a good
might
thing?
think about the idea of having our camera's about to die. I didn't plug it in. Think about the idea of having like a virtual counselor where you can sit in a virtual office and be like virtually coddled and like, I don't know. I think that could be one of the good sides is it could break down barriers for people where somebody might not sit face to face with another person and like talk about what they need to talk about. But when it's virtual and this person's literally on the other side of the planet or the other side of the country, and like in real life, they're totally anonymous and you'll never know if you meet them. They'll never know if they meet you. Like there might be, to segue off of last week's episode where we talked about like mental health and like that whole subject so much, that could be a super positive side of having a whole other virtual realm is once counselors can start connecting with people and like you can have whole virtual support groups where people they don't have their walls up because they're talking to total strangers and they're never going to see one. And like, there's not that like, oh no, what if this person knows all my secrets? It might be really like, this might be the thing that's really, really beneficial to people that struggle with all kinds of problems.
So I think there's people who you bring up this virtual Facebook type thing. And I think
very
people
scary,
right away
but
worry about people's mental health on a virtual thing like that. But I honestly, in overall grand scheme of things, I think it will be way better for people's mental health to have an actual experience. I think the closer you can get to an actual experience with another human being, like, you can't, it's difficult to go across the world and talk to somebody, but
Mhm.
if you can talk to that person in person like that, there's so much more in person, virtual,
Yeah.
there's so much more you're able to connect with. Of course, it's going to be a better experience to go across the world and do that, but it's costs a lot of money. It's not easy to do a lot of those
Right.
things just to go, have a casual conversation with someone. And you can text, you can call someone, but still it's not face to face. A call is always different than a FaceTime.
Mhm.
Texting is always different than both of those.
Mhm.
Real connections are made, I feel like, in person. Better made,
Yeah.
stronger ones. So like that's a plus. Exactly what you're saying, I think about a lot. I think the mental health aspect, oh man, having like a virtual
I
counselor
mean,
that
think
could be
about it
right
now. How
there.
many people have like gaming buddies that are always your gaming buddy? You've never met them, but like you talk, like while
Mhm.
you're gaming together, you like talk, and like you hear what's going on in the background of one another's households. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's already kind of like that. So like just to talk about a positive thing that this could bring up, there's there's the connectivity without shame or embarrassment.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because you're never going to connect in the real world. It's not like this person's going to give away your secrets. They don't know who
Right.
you really
But
are.
but then imagine, you know, because there's this whole dual, like two-way thing that's happening with the augmented and then the virtual. Now imagine you're able to switch on an augmented reality where like if you have the glasses or whatever, you can, project whatever in the room. So like you can meet with that person. They could be in the room. You could be in their room. Like
Yeah.
you could be hanging out with like me and Ben.
Yeah. The
We
3D
could be at your
sensors
house.
and cameras
All
aren't
three
that
of our
expensive anymore.
houses have all three of us in it, but we're all at our houses. But if you got the glasses on, you can see it perfectly. You see it. You don't see hologram version. You see you. You
Yeah.
see exactly the way you are.
Yep. That's how it's going to be. I think that's kind of cool. There are a ton of downsides that are going to come with it, but there's a lot of positive things that are going to come with it too. So
I think the ability to have like cool virtual spaces, like being able to sculpt right here, just like bam, I can just have that on and I could be working on some 3D sculpture. And because we're on the computer, maybe you could see it or something like that.
imagine all the times that so I only live an hour away from my family, but you live several hours away from your family. Imagine like Thanksgiving or Easter dinners going on and you weren't able to take enough time off work to go up and do, your visits. But for that like 4 or 5 hours that everybody's sitting down to dinner, you can hop on virtually and you'll be projected as a holograph in the room. Like, wouldn't that be cool? That's not far off. Like
I'm
where
completely
everybody can talk to
with
you
it.
as if you're there and you can like have your headset on and be interacting like you're right there with them. Like you can be laughing at the jokes the first time they're being told and you can like hear the stories firsthand instead of having it retold by another family member or like, or the simple like, sorry, I missed it. I had to work again. Like, oh, well, I got to join in for the last few hours. I'm glad I got to see everybody for a little bit.
Right.
Like those are the things that I think are going to be the positive side of it.
Oh yeah. And then the fun, there's there's that, and then there's just like the playfulness of it, like how much
Imagine being
cool
able
stuff
to
people are going to be able to do, like
play
just in
like
general.
chess in 3D,
Right.
to be able to play
Walking in a
pool
giant
in
room,
3D.
just picking up giant chess piece. I mean, people are already doing that stuff,
Mhm.
but what's happening is that it's going to be way more real. They're calling the new headset, it's called Cambria. So
Okay.
there's like a 15-minute thing that came out a couple days ago that was like Mark Zuckerberg being fucking weird and robotic alien, like literally just looks so weird while he's talking.
My
It's
nephew
such a
asked me what's wrong
I
with
don't
him.
really
He
like him.
goes,
I'm not a fan of him or anything like
do
that,
you
but
think he's an alien? I'm like, he could be,
I think
Sam.
he might be. I think he's kind of twacked out in some sort of way. I don't think he's on drugs. I think he's a weirdo for sure. There's
I
something
mean,
weird to him.
maybe he just doesn't see any sunlight.
But it was like 15 minutes of him
Maybe he's
talking
just
about
vitamin
what
D
this whole
deficient.
metaverse is going to be and how it's going to like integrate into reality and how it's going to change everything. So a lot of like grand ideas he was
Mhm.
saying with that. Pretty much everything I've been saying.
Hmm.
Curious to see it all play out. Oh yeah, but the headset are supposed to be pretty much. You wouldn't be able to tell a difference. You're hardly going to be able to tell a difference from like reality or from reality to that. Like the graphics are going to be so good that they're going to be at like the peak of what they're going to be. And
How
they're also going to
fun.
register your face. They're going to have a whole lot more going on with them.
It's scary. It's a lot, but like, how fun.
How fun is right?
It's gonna be crazy.
It's got a whole new like layer to reality.
People are gonna be like, so you
Especially
used to
when
play
everyone-
video
when
games
everyone's
on
doing
a,
it.
so what's it, hold on, what's a TV? So you used to play video games on that?
Right.
And
we all
so
just
was
wear
it like
glasses.
a, was it like a window or a door? Like, did you go into it? Did you put it on? Oh, it was, it just sat there and you looked at it? Weird.
right?
You know what I
So
mean?
far away from your eyes like that.
Yeah, like all the way
like,
across the room.
It wasn't like right in front of your face, 2 inches.
It's crazy. It's crazy how just fast things are growing right before our eyes. Do you remember the first VR Nintendo game? Are you old enough to
I-
remember that? It was like red
I
and
was not
black.
lucky
It
enough
had
to
like
have
this
those.
tripod and you wore it like a modern VR, but it was just like this black and red world with like Pong in 3D. It was like a 3D tennis. There were a few other games, but the tennis one's the one that I remember.
That's so funny. Did you just see a thing kind of get bigger, and
Yeah.
go back and forth
Uh-huh.
like that?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. I had
We've come so
I had
far.
a virtual reality baseball game. It was, you put it on, but it was still LEDs like in there, you know, really like old school, like handheld
Mhm.
type game technology, but in there.
Yep.
And it had a little
This was all
bat
black and red
that
squares,
you like
man.
had a little bat. That's so funny.
So what's going on in the tattoo world? Anything new with Jordan?
Oh, finishing pieces, starting new pieces. Started this cool space leg sleeve the other day. Well, bottom half.
The
leg
one with the
sleeve.
astronaut?
Yeah.
That one was pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting kind of weird with the geometry on that. Spacey black holy.
Nice.
Yep. It's funny right now. He's just got this big circle of black on there. I'm gonna do some cool like Corona stuff around it and
Nice.
then have everything spiraling right into it. But I love it. I love this big spot of black we got.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
What else? Yeah, I don't know. It's been pretty light. The past 2 weeks. I'm trying to get some drawing down. Drew up a pretty cool back piece the other day. I was happy about that. Got a couple versions of it. If anyone wants a bio back piece.
Are you talking about that like full body suit kind of deal you've been playing with?
Doesn't have to be a full body suit. We can do that style on something else. On some other smaller body part.
I don't know if Todd was able to join us today or not. He might pop in, he might not. But I've got something I want to share. He's got let's see. I wish I was quicker at running this stuff. Sorry, guys. Oh no, where'd he go?
Screen share, nothing.
Boom, there he is.
That's so funny. I seen this.
Oh, I don't know where my audio is. Yeah, Todd's proud of this.
You went viral.
Oh, Todd. So he's super proud of that. So Todd and I, this is one of the first conversations that I think Todd and I had together was like how much we've spent. And he told me at the time that he was well over 100,000. And I was like, man,
Well, think about it. You do 30 sessions.
I stopped keeping track at 50 and that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago. So I couldn't tell you. And I mean, I guess if I looked at my schedule, I could like look at my appointments that were scheduled and calculate it and figure things, but I don't want to. I stopped
Yeah.
at 50,000. Like once I tipped that mark, I
think
stopped.
I got at least 12 grand into mine so far. But I still have a lot of open space.
Mhm. Yep. It's crazy how it adds up. But at the same time, if I would have spent that same amount of money on a vehicle, I wouldn't have that vehicle anymore.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's very true. I mean, it definitely worked.
So it seems like a crazy number, but
I
like
think you
it's
just,
it's really one of the only things that I do for myself. And it's also something that I do to learn, I'm learning my craft as well as collecting art.
I think you're paying for the, when you're paying for the experience like that, you shouldn't be, I don't, at least, I don't think about like, oh man, yeah, I'm gonna have to spend 150 grand on my tattoo. Shit, do I want to get tattooed? That's a lot of money. No, I think about it like each time I'm going to spend some money, and I'm not going to think about how much it's overall going to be. I'm going to spend that money as I want to get my tattoos when I'm feeling it for whatever reasons that I want to go do it.
Mhm.
But if I was to sit and think, okay, no, it's a little niche off of that 150 grand until I get my full bodysuit, like you can't see it like that. Like that's just too much to think about.
Nope.
Unless you
Oh
are, I
man. And
mean,
then if I threw in travel expenses on
and
top,
any client I have that like they try to budget like that, where they're trying to like they got a huge thing and then they're like budgeting every little bit, like how much is each session going to be for this, and then this and this 4 or 5 sessions down the lines, it's still going to be this, and it's like it's going to be this every time until it's done. So we just got to plan for that, and
right.
like don't think about it like it's going to be this overall. So this is a huge project. We just have to go session by session till it's done. You kind of just have to give into that. If your artist has a specific amount of time and they're confident with that, that's awesome. They're that's cool for that project, and that's cool for how you guys are going about it. But I think, I don't know.
I don't know. It's such a funny thing. Like once you're committed to something, and like for me, the level of commitment is so different because, like I said, I'm learning. I'm always learning. And when I have the opportunity to be worked on by somebody that I've looked up to for so long, there's this like whatever it takes to make it happen, I'll make it happen. If I've got to work extra, I'll work extra. If I've got to travel and sleep in my van and make
See,
it happen, I'll make it happen.
and that's how I
Like,
feel. It kind of goes back to the thing of like not everybody feels the same way we do, and definitely understand that. But that's where we come in, where it's like there is the side of things where there's give a lot of respect to the tattoos. We're the tattoo artists we're getting tattoos from, but we're also getting tattoos from the people we look up to hardcore, whether it just be because of their art, because we like the way they work, we like whatever it is. I just feel like I'm willing to go out of my way or do whatever it takes, and I wait until it's the right time to do it. I don't rush myself and say, oh, I got to do this. Oh, it's going to be so much money. Oh my God, there's going to be so much money for me to do this. Okay, well, if I feel that way at all, well, I can wait a little while.
well, and then the
I don't
other
have
thing
to. I don't have
is
to go for this right now. But when the time is right, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get the piece of art that I want.
if you start to look at your project like it is a monthly commitment or like an every other month commitment, whatever your budget allows, like once you just start budgeting and planning for that, it just becomes routine. So like that's where it sounds crazy when we sit down, we have a consultation with a client about a large project, and we're so vague about how long it's going to take just because we don't know that client yet. We don't know the variables. We don't know how well they sit. We don't know how many hours we can get out of each session. We don't know how much we can get accomplished in each hour.
Right.
That's different from one person to the next. I've got some clients that lay there like corpses, and they just make crazy faces at me all day, and I can get so much accomplished. But then I've got other clients who are much more tickly and much more jumpy, and I'm a collector like that, so like I don't get frustrated with it, not at all. However, if you're that kind of collector, it might take a little bit longer, and that's fine. But like that's where as artists, we want to get your project done, but we're not, I don't know, any solid person of an artist isn't going to milk
Exactly.
it.
And that was
What I
that
mean?
was my next thing that I was going to say, is that any real artist is not going to milk it. They're going to want to finish the project, but they're going to want to get done as much as they can. And what I can definitely attest for, it's good to give your artist the extra time that they want, because if they feel like they have to wrap something up because like, oh, we said 4 sessions, got to get it done by this 4 sessions because you got this hardcore budget, like I understand that, and I do take on projects like that sometimes, but I do feel that need to just get it done and not nitpick details and things like that, when in reality there's some pieces that I would just really like to get in there and nitpick the details and really get in there and do get the piece to its full potential. But that's where the client sometimes needs to be a little open to be able to like really follow through for that last session.
Yeah. Yeah. I just really like it when clients, collectors, when they're of a similar mind to me, in the fact that like, okay, I know it's going to be this much every time I see the artist, and I'm just going to prepare for that every time I see the artist. And when we're done, we're done. Like, I feel like if you get, you know, if you get caught up in the whole cost of something, it can be overwhelming. But when you get caught up in the, every month or every 2 months or every 3 months, it'll be this much, or every 6 months, or whatever the arrangement is with your artist. Like when you've got that time to prepare, if it ends up being extra sessions, it's only going to make your work that much better and that much, more top notch.
You can see it as just an extra bill, it's just another bill. And if you can see, can I afford this or can I not afford this? Can I afford this until we need to finish it, even if it is 10 sessions down the line for this leg sleeve or whatever it might be.
Another good thing is when you go in with that mindset, you have the freedom for the project to grow. You're already budgeting this much per session, per project. So like if you're already prepared for that, like keep rolling with it. Like if you've already got each other's time and attention, it allows the freedom for projects to get bigger,
Right. A good artist is not going to want, like the milking thing, not going to want to just sit there and work on nothing, just find nothing to work on for 5 hours. No artist is going to want to do that. We're going to find something to do.
Yeah. So there are some projects early on. So here, I'm going to get into my remedy after I tell the story. So early on, there are a lot of sleeves that I would like work first, second, third layers on like the entire sleeve. And once I'd get like the first or second layer done, I'd never see the client again, because they'd be like, it seems finished to me. I don't know how it could be any better. Where I'm like, oh, it could be so much better. I didn't even get I didn't even get your bright colors in there. Like, cause I usually like jump in with my darkest darks and build from there. Yeah. I usually jump in and commit, but in doing it that way,
no true blending.
Yeah. They don't get to that like polishing layer where I put the highlights in. And so my remedy to that is now I leave something like blatantly unfinished. And I'm like, that's going to be like our cherry on the cake. This is the piece that I'm going to do very last. That's going to bring it home, just so that like they come back, so that they know there's more to come, because there's nothing more frustrating than having like, could you imagine doing like taking a painting or a drawing, and when you're at the 60% mark, somebody takes it from you and hangs it on the wall, and that's it.
Right.
That's it. You don't get to finish it. You don't get to explain what's happening next. That's just it. When really you needed to go in and refine things, and you still had to correct this, whatever. And like, this needed to be this, and this was going to happen here. And, there's so much of the story that isn't there yet. So that's where, like, if you are just open to like committing to whatever that session rate is, or the hourly rate, once you're into a project, like how long you're going to sit and things like that. But once you get into that rhythm, try not to like give your artist a hard dollar amount. If you can give your artist, like, if you can start out with, I can afford this much a month, or I can afford this much every 2 months or 3 months, or whatever the arrangement is. Like if you can put it out there,
I have to get the sleeve done with
I need this done in $5,000. It's like, well, I mean, that's really like very limiting right off the rip. Could we just do like 1,000 a session, and I can guarantee you 5 hours or so of work? Like, can we just do it like that, and we get done as much as we get done? Like, and the more we get done in that time, the less we got to do next time. Like, and then that way every piece gets the attention that it deserves, and nothing is rushed. And every tattoo idea is different, and everything's going to be different. But I guess the whole point is, it's hard for me as an artist. One of the things that I found early on, like when I would go and I'd be like looking at my photos of tattoos after I'd finished them, I'd be like, man, that'd be so much better if I just had more time. I go to the next one, like, if I just had more time, and I go to the next one, if I just had more time.
Seems to
So,
be, yeah. I
and
feel
the
that.
way that I started working, and you can see it, I don't watch the clock whatsoever. We get together at 2 o'clock, and then I literally hog up my client's entire day. But
Mhm.
like we get a lot of hours in, but I'm not watching the clock at all. It's like these are our goals for the day. This is what I want to get done. I want to accomplish it to this degree. And I even usually tell my clients, like, this area, we're going to get to this percent for the day. And we
Mhm.
have like a solid game plan, and like they know what we're achieving. Sometimes it's ambitious. Sometimes we get way more than that done because they get so motivated that we're working at such a good pace that it's like, well, I mean, let's keep going.
Yeah, I
And
feel that.
that makes me excited. But if I had the limitation of, I want to sleep from you, I want it to be of the style that takes you 6 or 7 sessions to do, but you need to do it in 4. Well, that's already kind of cutting my legs off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
That's
you can't achieve the saturation unless you take your time and achieve the saturation. You can't, that's it. You
I think
can't achieve the saturation without taking the time to achieve the saturation. So that's where, like, when you get into extra sessions, it's for the tattoos good. It's not because your client's trying to milk your pocket. They've got other artists with, or the artists have other clients lined up willing to pay the same day rate.
right.
So
We
it's
don't
not
want you
like
to
we're,
just keep getting in here. Let's just keep getting you in and for
yeah,
infinity as a return client. It's like, no, I want you to be finished so we don't have to work on this anymore. Yes, I enjoy working on this, but I don't enjoy working on it so much that I want to keep working on it when it should be done.
yeah, a
Like,
good
I
artist is
don't want to
always going to
keep
have a
beating you
list of
up.
the
I don't want
next
to keep
client.
doing,
So,
like, sorry, dude, I don't like you that much. Like, I don't want that to happen.
or I don't hate you that much.
Right. Or
I
I don't hate you.
that
Yeah, I don't
much.
hate you there we go. I like you that much to not hate you that much.
Yeah, I like you that
There
much
we
to
go.
just want you to have a beautiful tattoo. That's it.
Yeah.
Not even about like,
And when it's finished, it's going to be a blessing, and we're going to let it go. I'm going to let it go.
I am glad that we got to talk about price as much as we did last week, because that was something that I've always been like, do we talk about that? Do we
But I
not talk
find that to
about
be
that?
my
But I'm
biggest.
glad that it was brought up by a collector, not an artist. I'm really glad that we got on that topic.
I'm finding that to be my biggest headache now that I'm mainly only doing large scale pieces, and for a solid long time now, it's basically just trying to figure out you know people's budgets and working on a way that I'm happy and still like not taking on projects where I'm not going to get paid enough or something like
Mhm.
that, and where I'm just consistent on my rates and all that. And then I encounter the people that like have to finish a sleeve in this amount of money, and then I ended up taking it on, and they were awesome pieces, awesome clients, but so I won't say any names at all, but it definitely ends up being more like a headache,
Yeah,
where I end up in the end really wishing I could have done more. And I don't like having to withdraw myself to like try to fit something like that or
Mhm.
work. I hate working in a session where I'm feeling rushed the entire time. Like, fuck, I got to get all this done because I need all this done next session, but we still got all this right here. So we just got to get through this. So cut out the detail, just blast it with black, get in there. Let's do it nice and big and bold. And sometimes it's what looks great. And honestly, I think it ends up being a great decision. And I think, those pieces end up awesome, but I don't, I might have made other decisions, or I might have felt more comfortable in general.
Mhm.
And I think that comfort in general is going to allow me to do my own thing more and not.
Yeah. That's one of the nice things about having not a return client on the same project, but once a client has completed a project and they're ready to jump into the next one, it's one of the nice things because they already know what to expect. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's been a few years and your prices have gone up a little bit, but like outside of that, they know what to expect. They know how you work. They know how much you get done. They know how the project goes. They know how it like evolves each session, and each session it turns into something even nicer.
Mhm.
That's the nice thing when you have that comfortability and that trust that already exists with a client. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really nice when like, oh, I've already done your right sleeve. I'm glad I get to do your left sleeve, like
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
you mentally know what to expect and prepare for. And,
Mhm.
I do love my return clients. It's crazy how you get to know whole families.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like yeah.
Jordan, I
definitely love
I
my
have a
return
question
clients.
for you.
What was that?
Do you have coffee made?
I do not.
Can I make a pot?
Hmm.
Can you jibber jabber for a minute?
I can make noises.
You can make noises.
Uh-huh.
This weirdo. Do you remember how to do screen shares? You got anything from your page you want to?
Sure. I got something.
All right.
Well, now
Show them what you've been working on.
we're going to show the people what they want to see.
Show them what they want.
You all wanted to see my stuff. I'm going to show you my stuff. If I can remember how to screen share. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right, we're getting there slowly. All right, here we go. This right here is a pretty cool piece that I've been working on. I want to come and see it in a minute. Huge space thigh geometry piece. Lots of hexagons, lots of space, big galaxy in the center. Well, kind of small compared to everything else, but fairly large. But this was a really fun piece. We probably spent, it was probably I think it was 4 sessions on this one. Definitely, if it was to be on an arm, it would be a full sleeve. Definitely be a full sleeve. Let's see. Here's a video.
So I totally just tried to use marshmallows as coffee filters.
Okay. How'd you manage that one? I see. That is pretty that is very close.
When I grabbed this and it felt the way
That's really funny. That's surprisingly close. I did not expect that. All right, what's next up on here? Ooh, here's that bio stuff. Somebody out there should definitely get some of this tattooed.
Are you showing the piece I was talking about?
I'm not sure. The exoskeleton biosuit. Yep.
Yeah, I like it. I like
This
that
one
you
right
put it in
here. I don't know
different
if you
colors,
guys
too.
watch Dragon Ball Z or not, but that totally looks like Frieza.
Yeah, I like this one. This is I think this is next level for you, Jordan.
Oh, thank you.
Like even any part of it, like it might be a lot for somebody to commit to that whole thing, but even any piece of that could be taken and turned into a really nice tattoo. You know what I mean? Like
Thank you.
I'm just saying, like for collectors, like when you see artists post things like this, even if it's something that's too big, I recommend still hitting them up and being like, oh, I already have something on my chest, but this would look cool as a sleeve. Like they'd probably be down to do a portion of the project if that's all the real estate you have
Right.
available.
Like I could see this right here, this whole thing right there, that could be going down your forearm.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just throwing that out there. Like as collectors, when you see these things, the artists are like, I'd love to do something like this, or look at this idea. Like I've definitely hit artists up and been like, I love this. I would love to do something like that. Or a piece of. There have been times where there's an artist that I've followed for quite some time. He does bio work, but there are times where like I've shown Jordan his work and I'd be like, wouldn't this be cooler if you just took that one area and made that one area the entire sleeve instead of how busy it is? And, so there's these things where like there may be a ton of information in the idea that the artist posted, but even if you're just interested in like a little portion of it, sometimes that's going to be enough to just ignite a whole new idea, a whole new avenue of possibilities.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I feel like I was breaking through to something with this. So I'm happy to see where this goes. And oh man, itching to do some bio. I feel like people are it's funny how there's just like the trend thing, with the geometry. I love geometry. Everyone comes to me for the geometry. It's what, it's what I'm known for. It's my style. It's, I do love it, but not everyone knows that I absolutely love bioorganic stuff. And I think I've been kind of lacking on drawing a lot of it. So, I'm just not putting it out as much at the same time.
Mhm. I think
So
doing what you're doing with stuff like this and like the paintings that you've been posting, all the paintings that you share are bio. So like with me, I feel like the more that I share my paintings, the more people are like that kind of thing. And that's where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, people do bite my imagination. Like I don't have to worry about. So I think the more you share the paintings that you're working on, I think you'll see that the people that hit you up, you'll start seeing more bio. It might not happen right away just because, somebody might see something and be like, oh, he's the guy. Now I got to start saving. And they
Right.
won't hit you up until they're ready. So like, just remember, it might take a few months, but like keep posting. Like if you want to do more bio tattoos, keep posting more bio paintings. Even if you're not currently working on a ton of bio tattoos, post that brain work. Post that's where your imagination is running right now. And I think there's a lot of capabilities between combining like Polynesian and sacred geometry and bio together. You know what I mean? Like I think there are, just because when you talk about like the flow and the fit, like that's a language that flows through geometric tattooing and bioorganic or biomechanical. So when you just like look at the fit and flow and the way that one piece talks to the next piece, I just think there's a lot of
I feel like you could
potential for
start thinking
combining.
about Geiger type stuff where you get a lot of those like conduit type things. Like say you got long conduits, all like a lot of those. And you got lots of like repeaters. I feel like in essence, like even drawing those is kind of like drawing pollen. It would be like
Mhm.
if you were to just draw a ton of those, like that's kind of like drawing
You start
Polynesian
seeing
stuff.
that the
So
language
there's
is similar.
there's ways to combine those ideas,
Mhm.
more and more, and then even creating patterns within that, and then doing 3D shapes and patterns.
Well, I
Do
mean,
you, do
even
you
this
know
one that you're
do you know
sharing
Evan
here.
do you know Evan Beers?
Yeah. Well, not personally, but I know who he
You know
is.
his work and
Yeah.
how he's kind of got like a more bio-y style
Mhm.
of Polynesian, very
Mhm.
Polynesian influence, but it's
Very
almost like
intricate, very, very technical.
and very big, like even in his shading, he'll create giant shapes in his shading over. So everything will be super technical, and then he'll have like huge gray wash over top of everything, but there'll be giant carews and like big shapes in that shading.
Let's see if we can pull him up here. Mm. This is what we're talking about. But
Yeah,
yeah,
this one's not really as bio influenced, but
oh, that just happens to be the very first one that was
right.
there.
But still gets the point across.
Mhm.
He's
But the
definitely the
fit,
man in
the
Michigan for
flow,
it.
I think, in my opinion, he and Kyoki are probably my two favorite Polynesian artists.
Yeah,
I just absolutely love Kyoki as a person as well. He's always so happy. He's just one of the happiest.
nice.
I don't know, just happy, just
I've never,
beaming with happy all the time.
I know his work, but I definitely haven't seen him or know his personality. I want to see some of the more bio influence stuff. I haven't seen his work honestly in a couple of years.
Careful about scrolling too fast and make people motion sick. You can
Oh,
hit if you come up here, you can pause it while you're searching for, don't hit stop, come up. There we go. Hit pause. There. Now you can scroll and then you can unpause so our viewers don't get seasick. There we go. Yeah, that's a super good example. You can see how these like big sweeps in the foreground will flex and flow really nicely however he moves his arm.
yeah, I love that.
Do you know Evan?
No, I've met Max, his brother though, and Steven, who I used to work with, apprenticed under Max while Evan was apprenticing under Max. And you know Max? Do you know who Max is? Max
Mhm.
Pierce, Evan,
Yep.
both of them.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's some crazy shit about these guys. Max and Evan are at that time were wild. and like just got in a huge fight and like threw each other through like the front door like the front windows
mean,
of
they're
the shop and
brothers.
everything like that.
They're
And
brothers.
just like huge, like roided out of the. Now I don't know about roided. I don't know if I can get into that, but also being wild. Y'all were being wild. I heard your stories.
Mhm.
I heard your stories. But I know you all are
Oh,
doing
that hand's
amazing
nice.
now.
I really like that hand.
Max is doing super
Click on
good.
that one.
That's awesome. Right down the finger there.
That's the fit and flow.
Bam. Said at the same time.
That's the thing that Polynesian and bio have together. You know, your eyes always traveling.
I love how simple the shapes are, but what's also funny is when you see the grids that are made from it all, you know, it's not all that simple. When you watch the original structure come together to make them. All the Sharpie drawing.
I'm going to show you guys the other Polynesian artist I mentioned. He is either opening a new shop or just opened a new shop. Come on, there it is. So here's Keoki's work. He's there. If you see his work and Evan's side by side, it's hard to decipher whose is whose.
Yeah.
But I think Keoki's work, I think he does a little bit more with this like the three-dimensional aspect of like the softer grays behind these different forms. But look at that. I bet that elbow moves so nicely.
Yeah, that looks so nice. Oh, I really do love Polynesian. And honestly, I do love tattooing it, but it's tedious.
Oh, Keoki is so patient. So if you jump into some of the former reinventing events, he did a tattoo history episode. He's great at explaining the what's and whys of Polynesian art. I sat and picked his brain one night, and he's so good at sharing information and sharing like his love for art in general, but like all the traditional art of Hawaii. He just loves it all.
Very cool.
He's rad. So if you ever get a chance
me
to
wanna
get
do
worked
some
on by
Polynesian.
Keoki or Evan, don't miss it.
Right?
They're also
I mean,
the
if
only
I-
two I can think of
if
that work with a lot of
this would
color
be-
in their
this would be the
Polynesian work
only
as
arm.
well.
This will be the only arm that I put any more Polynesian into.
We're
And
gonna
I've given you that arm.
we're gonna tie into. We're probably gonna pull a little Polynesian out to tie and connect and make everything cohesive. For sure.
Like that. Like that.
But yeah, I want it to all look like it was all done at the same time. I want it to, you know what I mean? I want it to look like it's like a deliberate collaborative, you know. I mean, I want my area to look like my area, but I want it to all tie and connect,
Totally.
you know,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
where
like
you
that.
can't really tell where mine stops and the other starts, where it all just
Mhm.
becomes one. Okay, I think the
I'm excited
coffee's
for that.
done.
Yes. Oh man. We might have to be munching on some cake too. It was Fawn's birthday. Oh, what day was your birthday? Was it Monday?
Yeah,
Yeah. Happy birthday, Fawn.
thank you.
Everyone make sure to message Fawn and say happy birthday all at once. And then email her too.
Oh, geez.
Don't email her. Happy
What
birthday.
was that last thing?
I said don't email her happy birthday.
I just cleared my email out yesterday because
Feels good having an empty email. Tell you that. I hardly have to look at them anymore. It is a dream having Emily take care of it. We both got Emily's taking care of our
I
stuff.
find it ironic that we both have Emily's. That's where we're gonna have to call them. It's
Isn't
just
that funny?
the Emily's. Yep.
But literally, it's a dream. Every tattoo artist out there who struggles with their emails, or if you're just bad at doing your emails, there's a side of it where self-discipline, we should get better and we could get better, but there's another side of it where don't make your clients suffer because you suck. You should just get an assistant and, pay
So
them money.
here's where I was at. I would spend 2.5 to 3 hours every day, even my days off. I would spend that trying to like plug through my email and get back to people. And it would still take me weeks to get back to people. It would still take me like, just because I already had so many conversations already going. And I just felt like I'd spend all that time, and it was like swimming upstream every single morning. So I'd be already like mentally exhausted by the time I got to the shop.
And it's like
Like
emails, I don't know.
it's
It's not
spend
one email. It's definitely, there's at least 6 to 10 emails or more that go back and forth.
And sometimes
between that, just one message can go on for, all day, let alone having to deal with 10 messages, let alone being a busy tattoo artist who's dealing with God knows who knows how many a day you're getting in or how many a week you're getting in.
It is, it's such a peace of mind just to have somebody else handle the first, like basically filtering. My Emily does a lot of filtering. I'm sure your Emily does the same. Making sure they're even the right ideas. And then there's a little bit of like, this isn't quite what they're doing right now, but like if you tweaked your idea like this, maybe.
Right.
So then that leads to more back and forth for a project that we're not even committed to, and that it's mentally taxing when it's like our own energy and we're already brainstorming about ideas, and then we get connected to an idea, and then like where if we've just got somebody that's handling that for us and like says, kind of like, is Emily going to join us?
I think she's passed through.
She's sneaking. Nice. You almost cleared the camera.
I feel like you're a semi-regular correspondent. Everyone's going to be happy to see your face.
But just handling that first, just like literally filtering that first outreach of people just to like make sure their ideas even correspond with my ideas. Like I guess one of the questions, Emily and I are due to sit down and like kind of touch base and see if my webpage needs adjusted or if the jot form needs adjusted or anything like that. But like, there you go. Good job. You did it that time. But where was I going? So just by handling that first contact, just by handling that and like filtering the people that like I potentially actually am going to want to work on and their ideas line up with like the work that I'm looking to do, just by like filtering it to the point where I only know about the people that check off all the boxes, or if there was a lot of back and forth to get them to like either share their ideas, because sometimes that's hard for people to put their ideas into words. I haven't had to deal with any of that stress. And then at the same time, like Emily's not as attached to it as I am, because she's not like sitting and putting too much thought into any idea before like it's to that point. You know what I mean? So for me, it's nice just to have somebody narrow basically all of the applications down to like the cream of the crop that line up with exactly what I want to do. Like just having somebody like handle that stress for me. And then I handle like, once she schedules our consultation, once we meet face to face, I handle everything from there. Unless you like need to reschedule or things are wonky like that, where like things need adjusted.
She's the consultation scheduler, basically.
Yep. She's the consultation scheduler.
Filter and consultations.
Yep.
Scheduler.
And then from there, I typically schedule our follow-up appointment at the end of the night. So, everything's usually handled face to face, with extenuating circumstances, work schedules change and people need to reach out and do stuff. But yeah, she's pretty much like, we joke around and call her the gatekeeper. but it's just really nice that like, even if it's somebody that knows me, she can very politely be like, well, I mean, not that Fawn won't work on you, but that's not really what she's doing right now.
And I think that's what I really, really love too about Emily doing it, is that like, because she's not connected to it like I am, that she can see it with that, like, she can tell it's a lot easier for her.
Objectively.
Exactly. It's a lot easier for her to be like, no, that's not going to work out. That's not what he wants, to do. And me, I might sit there for a minute going, how am I going to explain to this person that I don't like their idea right now and I don't want to do this, or something like that, which is actually pretty rare. But there's always having to explain to people that it's not in my wheelhouse, or it's not in my whatever it is. If that's the case,
The hard thing for me
she
right
can
now,
filter through that, and I don't have to spend any of the time emotionally, doing
people
anything
will
with that.
scroll back like 3 or 4 or 5 years on my Instagram and share a picture of like a compass and a map that I did, and they want that. It's like, well, I did that for somebody else, and that's part of like a bigger picture, and I'm doing color stuff now. Like,
Right.
you kind of miss the boat on that style.
Right. I've been
Because
getting,
there are just some things like, yes, I can do it. Yes, I have done it, but like I'm concentrating on these new things that I don't personally know anybody else that's doing them. Not around here, not anybody in our
Right.
personal like circle. There's a lot of just, I don't know, there's a lot of exploring that I'm doing. And if I'm doing the same things that I was doing 5 years ago, I can't explore the new things that I have grown to explore.
right.
Like,
I feel that.
yeah. And that's where like, don't get discouraged if you hit an artist up and either they or their manager recommends another artist, because like they're doing it for your benefit. They don't want you to just go somewhere else and get a tattoo you're not happy with. They're probably recommending
Right.
a more
And if
appropriate
you want to get
artist
a
for what you're
tattoo for
wanting.
the sake of getting one from that artist, you know what I mean? Some people just want a tattoo like by you, I want a Fawn tattoo.
Mhm.
I want Fawn to do my tattoo. I don't necessarily want one of your landscapey pieces, all that. I think all that psychedelic stuff's crazy, but I don't think that's too much, but I definitely want you to tattoo me. I'm not saying that personally, but you know what I mean? Like
That's
coming
actually
from
one
that,
of the
coming from that
questions.
perspective, it's like,
That's one
and
of the
it's like,
questions that we,
come to
Emily and
me
I
for
have
what I
found.
want and go to someone else for the other thing. Like I know I understand where you're coming from, but like as respect of the art, as respect to me and what I'm going to want to take on, first off, you're probably going to sift through the filter better and actually get through to me
Mhm.
if you come through with a project that's going to be more tailored to what I want to do.
One of the questions that Emily and I have kind of like woven into like the conversation, it's not like on my form or anything, but like if their idea is way off the mark, I kind of had this epiphany when we were just brainstorming one day, like ask them, like, do they just want to be tattooed, or do they want to be tattooed specifically by me? And if by me specifically, what's that reason? Because that could definitely sway whether I work on them or not. Like
Mhm.
if they've already been waiting 10 years and they're just finally able to, or you know what I mean? Or something dramatic happened and I am, for whatever reason, the only artist they feel comfortable with. Like we had to integrate that into the conversation. Like, do you just want to be tattooed? Because we'll recommend the best artist to do this. Or do you want to be tattooed by Fawn specifically for any reason?
Right.
So I think that filter started saving a lot of headaches on Emily's end, where the conversations were just going back and forth. And it was just like a brick wall with like either their idea wasn't budging, or like how sometimes the communication just kind of gets at a stalemate where like, I don't know how to ask this any other way, or I don't know how to give this advice any other way.
Right.
I think once that question got introduced, then Emily could be like, oh, here's the backstory. And yes, Fawn would want to have a consultation, or like, no, I don't think that's going to change it for Fawn. Like you're still going to have to change your idea around to whatever,
Yeah.
But, there have been circumstances where like I tattooed somebody's brother that passed away and she wanted something similar to what I did on him 10 years ago. Do I do skulls and crossbones anymore? No, but like, in this circumstance, I would be honored to do that again under the circumstance. You know what I mean? So
right. So the
there
filter,
are,
it's not a robotic filter. It's a filter that still has.
yeah, it's a filter that's
open-
actually a person that
right.
knows me
It's
well.
got room for variables.
Yes. Yes. So I guess even if your artist or the manager of your artist doesn't think to ask that question, you can always say, I really want to be tattooed by this artist. because, and like fill in the blank and let them know why you so passionately want to be tattooed by that person. Because sometimes it might just be a matter of meeting in person and all the questions fall into place. But, you know, it is hard when like somebody messages me because they want me to tattoo them and their cousin just said I was the best around. Like it didn't matter what their tattoo was. They just wanted tattooed by me because so-and-so on Facebook said I was the best around. Like, give me a little more, because there's a lot of really good artists around us. So,
Right.
you know, I want to stack my schedule with things that let me explore things that nobody else is doing, or pushing my own things further, because
I feel
that's how art is exciting. It's not exciting if we're doing the same things over and over again. Like there's principles, there's fundamentals, there's, you know, but you don't push it further if you stay doing the same things that you've been doing for the last 5 years. So
Right.
don't get discouraged if your artist is like, I don't do that anymore. That's where you could reply with like, oh really? What are you doing now? You know what I mean? Because
Precisely.
it's probably going to be better.
And if it was
Like-
already coming from them, there's a chance that it's not going to be 100% entirely different.
What would you do if somebody hit you up and they wanted some crazy idea of a piece that you did like 7 years ago, and you were like, well, I don't really do that stuff anymore? And how excited would you be if they were like, well, what do you do now?
Right.
Like, I feel like that's the best
I'd be
next
stoked.
question,
I would
instead
give
of
them the
being
resources
disappointed.
they
Like,
need to see what it is that I'm doing now, or
Yeah.
what it is that I want to do.
Yeah.
And then explain to them, because it sounds like they want some of that.
Yep.
They might, and they don't know what they want yet, and they know that it might be that.
Right. You don't want Jordan from 5 years ago. You want Jordan from
want Jordan
tomorrow.
now.
You
Yeah,
want
you
Jordan
want
from tomorrow.
Tomorrow, 3 months from now, when we'll have our appointment, I'll be better than I am today.
Exactly.
So every time you set your appointment, I'll be better than the last time I was.
Yeah. Isn't that funny how that works? That's the magic of patience.
Right. Especially with
That's
your
the
tattoo
reward
artist,
of
you're
patience.
getting art and tattooed by something that is hopefully still learning, and every time they come back, hopefully they're being able to apply more. It's the way I like to live my life, at least. But yes, I'm craving more. That's why I want some bio. I'm not 100% craving mixing the geo and the bio. I want like some straight, gnarly, gross, dark bio. I just want to like.
You're not even
dark,
necessarily
scary.
thinking mech'd out. You're like horror bio.
It could be mech, kind of like that, but exoskeletal. I
Mhm.
feel like more than
Okay.
anything. So if it was mech, it'd be
Ant-Man.
more like it would be mech that would be grown. So it'd be like
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man. I love Ant-Man. He's got a cool suit. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm just
Or
imagining
being
like a
tiny
real
Ant-Man?
man
Oh,
made
like a
of
man.
ant parts.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Ant-Man.
No. I'm like
He's cool.
Ant-Man, like you know, like the meatheads in the movie Ants.
Right. No, I
Stack
totally like
stack those
the fly
structures.
Ant-Man. Like,
Yeah.
like totally morphed. Part man, part ant.
I don't know what's making me think of this, but I watched Freddy Got Finger the other day.
Yeah.
The backwards man. I can walk
Been a
back as
while.
fast as you can.
It's been a while since I've seen
And
it.
it had been forever since I'd seen that movie. I think it's on Netflix right now. Maybe Hulu, maybe Prime. I can't
Tom
remember.
Green being as weird as he can be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's way weirder than Road Trip. That movie was something else,
That's
man.
funny.
If you haven't seen it, watch it. Rip Torn played the dad. Rest in peace.
Yep.
He made such a great psychopath. I just loved Rip Torn.
We'll have to rewatch that. What have I been watching? We've been watching Vikings. You ever seen that show? God, I love Vikings.
I watched a few episodes of
Love
it. Here lately, I've been getting back into studying the Enneagram, which is like this psychology
Personality
system.
test.
It's not, and there is a test associated
Like
with it to help
personality, like
diagnose which Enneagram number you are.
explain what the Enneagram is.
So on the Enneagram, there are 9 different personality types. It's really hard to like explain in a nutshell, but like
an archetype type thing.
kind of like basically your core personality
Like,
type,
there's
like your
there's that many
core,
personality
your core
types, and then-
fears and your core motivations of each personality type. So it kind of like breaks it down. And then once you really get into it, it'll break down like how motivations change during different mental health levels for that personality type. So for me, like if there's something I'm frustrated with that like is eating too much of my mental energy up, I just kind of dive into psychology to kind of like do something constructive with the energy that I'm wasting mulling on things. So it's like I can't just like waste energy on anger. I need to like understand the motivation. And then once I understand the motivation, it allows me to like at least do something constructive with those feelings, you know?
Absolutely.
So anyways, I have been diving into the Enneagram lately, and I've been listening to Jennifer Brave is the name of the like I guess podcaster, video maker. She's got like a Patreon. But anyways, I've been jumping back into that stuff, and I've really been taking note of like how she explains things and how she tells stories, because before when I was listening to her, I wasn't sitting around with a microphone in front of my face all week. But it's kind of nice to like go back and to re-listen to some of her same like explanations, and not even from like this, like, yes, I'm relearning some of the psychology stuff, but I'm actually like watching and listening to how she delivers her lessons. And I just love it. I love the way she delivers her lessons. It's so casual. It's so like through natural conversation. Like it's her, it's her, it's always just her and like whatever her camera is. And like her early videos, it's just her and her laptop clearly, but like the production gets better. But she all by herself carries on conversation as if there's 2 or 3 people in the room, and she like tells all of these stories. Yeah. And
that's a skill. It's
one
a
of the
skill
things
I don't have.
One of the things I love about listening to her is like I can listen to her when I'm driving, and it's like when I'm driving, it literally feels like somebody's just in the passenger seat, like and then like goals. That's how I want to talk to people. I want to just be able to like carry all sides of the conversation and also like not derail. You know what I mean? Like you get so far down a rabbit hole and it's like, hold on a second. Why was I explaining this anyways? I started explaining 4 other things from that story. What was the main point? Oh yeah, this.
Right. I like that.
So I've been spending a lot of time listening to her, just to like jump back down in the psychology rabbit hole. It captivates me, but I really, really love the way she teaches and explains things. I'd love to see what her thoughts of like obsessive tattoo collectors in the Enneagram, like where they fall. See if like different personality types have, I'm not going to say do different personality types have any bearing on do you get tattoos. I think your personality type has bearing on what kind of tattoos you get,
how you go about it, how you feel and react about the situation in general, how you react with your artist, how you react to the anticipation of it, how you react to the pain of it, how you react to the aftercare. I feel like a lot of those could probably just die. You could probably fill out a whole sheet of things that would bring you to some point on the Enneagram chart. Probably, based on how
as many
you go
people as
that.
we talk to, it'd be cool like to know enough about the Enneagram to just like kind of like halfway diagnose my clients as I'm talking to them and we're sharing life experiences, and then try and figure out like through the Enneagram what motivates people to collect the way that they collect. You know, where like we've talked to some collectors where they look forward to the pain because the pain's going to be a release. We've talked to some collectors that like look forward to the pain because of the spiritual growth. Myself, I feel like I do not enjoy the pain. However, I need to tolerate it to get what I'm going to get. And it's a commitment that I have to see through. So it's like a whole, you know,
I feel that
each one of us have different ways of dealing with all of it.
The pain is the spiritual side of it. You don't like it, but you have to go through that, and through overcoming that. That's, you know, that's the spiritual side of it, is like the courage it takes to get through and to sit there and be patient. And
but it would be cool
to
dive more into, you know, especially after as heavy as last week's episode was, when we were talking about depression and, you know, how some people use tattoos as a very therapeutic tool. I think it would be really cool to actually start the conversation with somebody who knows what they're talking about, and maybe start dissecting like what the actual motivations are. You know, like just to feed my own curiosities, not like it's going to change the world to know that somebody chooses to get tattooed this
I
way
feel like
because
right. There would be such a deep line. I feel like there's a surface level to see it, and then there's like the real way to see it, which would be like really diving into the psychoanalytical side of it, to where every person would probably be, everyone's motivations would be so different. But what are the commonalities?
Right.
What are the commonalities?
Like, are you the person that plans your tattoos years ahead of time, or are you the person that like goes through something traumatic and you just get a sleeve to take control of your life? You know, like,
right. Do you want the art or do you want the pain? Like, what is,
do you want both? Is one a means to the end, or do you like enjoy both?
All those things could lead up to different things.
Yeah.
Somehow one could mean some daddy issues in some way. Some, you know, the way you need to rebel against your parents. Maybe it's some form of rebellion. Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's a form of like serious expression, but you have to express yourself, and it's not you don't see it as rebellion at all. You see it as some sort of spiritual progress or something, some sort of badge or something. And you know, if it's a badge for you, you know, what does that say about it? Like, what you need some sort of accomplishment, you need, you know, recognition, validation in some sort of way for some sort of accomplishment or something that you did, which comes from, well, where does that come from?
Well, and then we'll get to the point where, like, if we talk about the psychology of collectors enough, can you imagine our people watching and people dissecting of strangers when we're in the crowds? We'll be like, oh, look at this guy. He's got this, this, and this. That must mean he got these when he felt like this, this, and this. But look here, his new tattoo looks like this. So he clearly has resolved some issues.
Right. Clients are going to start coming to us as therapists.
I mean, they kind of do.
I feel like
a lot.
Right.
I don't mind it. I think it's kind of sacred and special.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't avoid it. You know,
I never talk about specifics when people open up, but I do, like, I'll talk, like, I might share a story from one client to the other, or I might share a story on here, but I'd never share, you know, whether I think it's a personal confidential story or not, I wouldn't share like the specific person.
Right.
I try to be very almost clinically respectful of anything that goes on during our sessions. Like, I know HIPAA isn't a thing. However, gossiping is not cool.
Yeah.
You know, and we know so many people that like social groups know one another. So we hear things, we hear gossip, but I think we have a responsibility to be neutral and safe and to not feed into that gossip and drama. Like, hear it, absorb it, take note of it, but like, don't perpetuate it. I feel like it's a sacred, special thing that we have with our clients. Like, there is that psychological, like, a lot of our clients maybe need to see a therapist and don't, and we might be the closest thing they have. We might be the only time they have away from their spouse or kids or responsibilities, where they can
talk
just
to someone
like,
for 5 hours, especially someone you don't know,
and nobody's gonna
I feel
hear
like that's
it.
like the
They
best
don't-
part about having a therapist, is that like you have an objective person to say anything to, you know, and you don't even realize like what you would say until you realize, oh, this person literally has no idea. You know, I don't know. It's just you know, it's nice. People tend to like it.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to just be like a neutral
I think most people
neutral voice of reason for people. Like, I'm not a professional of anything, but like, for instance, I had a client a few months ago, and she's a regular of mine. I've worked on her for years. And she and her partner were just kind of not seeing eye to eye. And it was just like, you could kind of tell that there was like a heavy chip on her shoulder. And it was like, so like we talked, and like I got to hear her side of everything. And I was like, do they know like you feel like this? Like, they're not mind readers. Like, just open up a little bit. Like, they're not a mind reader, even though you think they should know. They don't know. Just open up a little bit. And like, by the end of our session, they were like back on speaking terms, because they just started like texting and like having a meaningful conversation. And then by the end of the session, they were back to like not sleeping in separate houses. So it was pretty cool to just be like, hey, like, don't take it all personal. Like, I know what they do for a living too. So they might have some stress going on that they haven't shared with you, because they think you've got all this stress going on and you can't handle more. And like, I'm just like outsider looking in, like, hey, don't take it personal. And like, they're not a mind reader. And those were the only two pieces of advice. Like, I mean, it was more specific than that, but like, in a nutshell, it was like, don't take their distance personal. They could have a lot going on at work that they just don't want to share. And they're not mind readers. So all this stuff that's going on with you, that you think they know, they might not know how you feel about these situations. So like that was the advice, like not a mind reader, don't take it personal. And by the end of the day, they were back to like speaking and speaking kindly instead of like chip on their shoulders, you know? And it was, did I say anything profound? No, but it was just a gentle
Right.
reminder, like, hey,
Right. Like
Here,
an
cut 'em some slack.
outside perspective.
cut them some slack.
Outside perspective, this is
But did I
sometimes
meddle?
some people
Did I
just need to be
change
able to see
anything?
something differently.
No.
They need to be able to just like see it objectively, and having
Right.
the other person allows someone to, as soon as they feel the empathy for how you're feeling, they jump into, oh, they see themselves from that, and they're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's where
I
it's
guess
kind
that's
of
what that
sacred
looks
for
like.
us, I think.
Mhm.
She might not have had anybody else to even just like vent and open up to, but just like venting to me, who's new, like we've known each other for years, but like just venting to me, who's neutral and outside, but also like knows all the characters. And it's like, I don't think this is unfixable. Like
Mhm.
none of these things you're telling me sound like deal breakers. You know what I mean? Like this sounds like a whole bunch of little problems where like you guys just got to talk to each other. You're not mind readers. Like just talk to each other.
Mhm.
And like I'm not saying I've got secret superpowers or anything, but like it feels good when somebody comes in and they're upset, and by the time they leave they're relieved and they're lighter, and like even though I spent all day beating them up, they leave feeling better than when they showed up. That's a pretty special sacred thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I've gone through similar situations multiple times in my career with different people.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely been a lot of sessions where people have gotten into just, I don't even want to get into specifics in certain ones and stuff. I remember. Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to be vague. It's hard to be
yeah.
vague.
Right. That's exactly what's happening. But I don't know. Things can get heavy and people's feelings can come up in ways like, this happened like 5 years ago, so no one's going to relate probably to, and not talking anything about them, but like they're talking about how their family died and all that, and like things just switched so quick as soon as like they were super happy go lucky, super have everything ready for the piece and all that. Start tattooing, we get like a half an hour into it, and like this girl just starts breaking down. Her family died, like a bunch of her parents died, and just like couldn't stop like bawling about it, and was just, like talking to me about it. And it was like a couple years ago, but like a couple years before that. But I guess was one of those things she never had the time to really talk about. No one really listened or anything, and it just came up. I had to talk about it. And it just seemed like pain was the catalyst for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that happens a lot. I think even in myself, I feel that pain seems to be the catalyst to bring up any sort of other pains or anything like that. If there's, certain traumas or pains in life you've went through and you haven't thought about it in a long time, sometimes, when you get put into a lot of pain, that can be something that brings you back through that, or allows you to hopefully move through it. Hopefully doesn't, dig up any scabs or anything like that. I think if anything, it's something that makes you go through pain so much. No matter what you're thinking, you come out stronger in the end because you still went through the ordeal of it all, and you chose to go through it.
I don't know if you're the kind of person that looks at pain as a release. I think that's for some people that might be their motivation to like.
I think it's like a hardener.
Use the pain to let go of whatever the thing is, and then through letting go, you can grow.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You can let go of whatever it is.
It's like building a stronger exoskeleton. Like if I think about my shrimpy, he's got to shed that exoskeleton to grow a bigger exoskeleton.
I feel like it's more like shedding cement shoes. It just hurts to break them off.
Fair, but you still want a strong exoskeleton.
Mm-hmm.
No, I feel you don't want bare feet completely.
Them.
So like when the shrimp grows it back, he grows it back bigger and stronger.
Let's combine them. I
bigger
like it.
And stronger.
Bigger, stronger. No lead shoes holding
I think
me down.
going through pain fortifies. I think it really helps to fortify.
I'm excited about your ecosystem over here.
Did you see Spyro? Have you really taken a good look at him?
Yeah, he's a fly little devil.
Yeah,
I like him.
Gobi's got his eye on him.
So every Thursday before podcast, we spend about the first half hour nerding out about our fish tanks together. I've never actually had a fish tank buddy before besides my sister, so it's kind of cool. Like Brittany and I learned together, so we don't really nerd out together anymore unless there's just this new little tidbit of information. but it's cool. Like you're doing saltwater, I'm doing fresh, and to compare some of the notes and similarities of what we're doing. And like, it's crazy how different but similar it really is when you start talking about like microbiome.
I love it. I mean, that's literally all I'm ever thinking about with this is what's going on with the tiny little creatures in there. And now working with or having amphipods and everything's so natural. Even my filtration now is like basically algae filtration, and
Mhm.
it's a piece of algae in there that's growing amphipods and copepods, these little tiny crustacean creatures. They look like bugs, but they're fucking wild. Like they really are active little thinking things. The way they swim and move around. Like I watched my little Spyro, the little dragonette I have. He tried to eat one of the amphipods. The copepods are super tiny.
Mhm.
Amphipods are pretty fucking. They're pretty big, active little shrimpies. But I don't know, just the way he tried to like get out of his mouth and like escaped his grasp. I was like, that is such a strong little thinking creature. They're cool, but now we're breeding them in there. I wish you were doing saltwater, but I love that you're doing all freshwater.
I mean, I could start. Now that I know I can successfully hatch brine shrimp, I'm probably going to put together a little hatchery, and I can keep us both in really solid, healthy little brine shrimp snacks for our tanks.
I like that. I like that because pretty soon here I'm gonna definitely need them.
When I had a saltwater tank in the past, we just did. I got a few different jars of brine shrimp, and I got the frozen brine shrimp, and our anemone and starfish liked the frozen brine shrimp the best. So that was just our jam. We had like the community tank food, and then we had the frozen brine shrimp
I'm
that
probably
we
gonna end up
put
getting
in
the
with
frozen stuff, yeah, to suck up in there and
Mhm.
stick in there.
Yep.
I'll be able to give it to a lot of them. The little dragonette will want that.
Sorry, if you guys think fish tanks are boring,
Yeah, get over it because I want to talk about fish tanks.
it's like the opposite of the technical side of nerding out.
Exciting news. I upgraded my my pump as well. So now I got my pump is pumping out. It was 150 gallons an hour.
Nice.
Now it's 250 gallons an hour.
Nice. I was actually just on the Zon looking at different pumps and wondering if I should upgrade the flow in one of my
Right.
tanks, but I don't think I need to. I don't think it's a need at all, but it would be nice if I could like
I think it's
just
but it's
raise
always
it
gonna
every
help
now
it.
and then.
I think it's always going to help. I don't know with freshwater. I don't know as much because I do feel like there's nowhere that the currents are as wild. You know what I mean? Like the ocean's got so much current. There's freshwater does, but
Think about rivers.
that is true.
Most of the fish that are in my community tank would be in like a creek or a river.
That's true.
So they'd be in like an estuarious
So a better
situation.
return pump's going to create better filtration.
Mhm.
So filtrate the fuck out of it. Get a bigger one.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Do you got a Fluval?
yeah.
Do you follow? You probably got a Facebook Fluval page you can follow. That's that one specifically. I follow like 3 of them for this.
I've
and
already got
oh
it
my
so
God.
beefed up.
Yeah.
I've got it beefed up more than what the Fluval would recommend.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, not that they're not Fluval pages. It's
Just what they're
it's
recommending.
No, it's group pages.
Group pages
that
for
like
that.
that just like so like it's everything in it is just mod. They're all modded to high heaven. So it's like figuring out the absolute best, like of what you can do, way higher than like what Fluval would advise. You know,
Yeah,
basically
mine's
strip your
like
stuff
triple
down.
filtered now, which
Mhm.
is, you know, how I was saying. So my new thing is instead of doing water changes as often as I was, I'm like I've got water lettuce and duckweed, and I just like monitor the amount of those floating plants because they complete the nitrogen cycle quicker than anything else. So I can actually like literally watch like the amount of tannins in the water. Like I can watch that spike. I can watch it lower. Like visually, I can see the amount of tannin from my driftwood that's in there. And then I can also like, you can smell like the, you know, your fish tank, when you really need a water change, it smells like a swamp. But like when you're just starting to be just a little high on the ammonia side, you can
Mhm.
smell it. Like if you're paying attention, you can smell it. So for me, like I can test mine. When I start to smell it, it'll be just a touch high, not even in like a high range. So now I'm to the point where I can just let my plants kind of grow a little bit more than they would, let their root structure get bigger before I pull them out of the tank. And it actually like everything balances out within 2 or 3 days without even changing, you know.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
it's
I
cool
love
that like
having a
I'm starting to play
self-sustaining
with
ecosystem like that.
yeah, rather than taking water out, I'm becoming to the point where I can balance it with the amount of plants, which is a pretty cool thing. And I haven't needed to add any fertilizers for any of my plants in at least 3 months. So everything's really like very well balanced. Once you get to the point where you're not doing water changes, where it's like, I just haven't
Literally,
done one in a while. So I feel
I'm
like I
at
should
such a
do
good point.
one.
I'm really happy about it because I'm in the same situation, kind of, where my tank is so clean. It's a little different because you got a self-sustaining thing going right now. I'm on the way to that, but my tank is so clean right now that I have to add nitrogen and phosphorus to it, so it has a little bit more
Yep.
going on with it. So I'm not even doing water changes. The little bits of ammonia and the little bits of protein and stuff.
But once that algae
So
starts taking off,
I'm feeding them a little bit extra and everything right
Mhm.
now. My filtration's so good it grabs everything. So I'm really happy with what's going on. I just keep optimizing though. My brain,
isn't it funny
it's
how it
I
starts
can't
to just
stop
get you in tune
optimizing
with biochemistry?
until it's the best it can be. If I know there's something better it can be, that's where my problem is. I have to do it. And if I
Well,
don't
look at
do it
how we
this
treat
week,
our dogs.
if I
Our
don't do it
dogs
this
are
week,
comfortable.
I'm
Our
gonna
cats
do
are
it next
comfortable.
week.
I want my fish to be comfortable. I don't want them to be chilly. Like
Right.
I keep an eye on the tank
I think it's so
temperatures.
funny. Like I talk about this Kato algae I put in there. I've been looking. I bought it from the specific website like a week and a half ago. I've been waiting so hardcore for it for something that I don't ever see. I just throw it in the back of the tank, and now it's completely dark. It's black. I
Mhm.
can't see shit back there, but I know it's there. I know it's
Mhm.
helping.
Yep.
But I get so oops,
All
that's
right. I
gone.
guess we're done with that one.
Right.
Fair.
I'll roll some of this up. But I'm so
I'm
excited
down.
about it. And to be completely honest, I'm getting really antsy. December is going to be the month where I start doing anemones and corals. I really want to start doing that, but God, do I want to do a bigger tank? I want to do a bigger tank, but it's art of patience. But I also, if I start a bigger tank, the sooner the better, because it's still got a cycle for 6 months.
I mean, well, and you've already got the hospital or the all the chemistry, all the medicines.
Mm-hmm.
If I put a pool table in my basement, I'm putting a fish tank down there. Why do we do this to ourselves?
I want you to do a saltwater tank.
Well, the thing is, if I do a saltwater tank, what happens if I travel?
You can still be gone up to a week with it. There's all sorts of, there's the automatic feeders, those work, but also your fish. If you had a healthy tank, especially with amphipods and copepods, that's part of why I'm breeding them in there. Like there are literally thousands of them in there and they all eat them and you can't really see them, but when nighttime comes, they go crazy.
If I have a giant goldfish tank, I can just be like, put this scoop of food in twice a day.
Hey, well, I mean, in essence, I don't know. There's more than that, even with these guys. It's a little reef. Each one of them, I got to make sure is fed. Even the crab. Look at this crab. This crab is riding the snail up the wall right now. He cannot ride the wall. He will fall as soon as he's not touching him, but he is holding on to him all the way up.
That's hilarious. I didn't realize that's what was going on. That's fantastic.
I just said, will you screen share what I just sent to the tattoo collecting?
Yeah.
I just sent a cool video of Goby and Spyro or Dragonette.
We're such nerds, guys. I'm so sorry. I did this. I did this. This is all my influence, and I apologize. Screen share.
I just love to nerd out about things. I like something that can get better and better, and I love the fact that you can create a full ecosystem, and the fact it takes a little while to get there, and you have to cultivate even the bacteria and like the tank and the rock enough to even support everything. No, it's a really fun process. And I think anyone and everyone should do it because it also helps the propagation of coral. And the more coral we have out there, the better. And we need more coral. So everyone should be growing coral and giving coral to anybody and telling everyone to grow stuff and grow corals and then go put them in the ocean.
Do you think a captive raised coral would survive in the ocean?
Yeah, they do it all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know if
fragging
it
is
would
like
work the other way
thing.
around. Do people do this as a
Big
hobby?
coral
Is this
farming.
just a thing?
Yeah, a lot of people like on the ocean, people that are like, really into corals.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people out there doing that.
Mhm.
especially right now because coral reefs are dying everywhere. You got people that are literally like crying about this every day.
Laura and
that
I
have
have
just
talked
devoted their
about
entire
that.
life to just making and reproducing corals, and they found a lot of new ways to do it. And so, as of the past couple of years, they've just been like multiplying their efforts, or not multiplying their efforts, but like the results that they're getting from it is way more. So the chances of saving the reefs are a lot higher. They're doing good.
It's a bummer. I don't want to lose the coral reefs. I haven't even got a chance to play in them yet.
Nope.
I need to get my scuba
Grow,
on.
do your part
I need
and
to get a
grow
Norcal.
coral.
Grow coral.
Do your part and grow
Well,
coral.
how am I going to get this coral back to said ocean? We're in Ohio.
We're gonna
son.
drive it. We're gonna have a coral driving day. We're gonna plant coral one day in a trunk full of water.
This all sounds so sketchy. It sounds like a whole bunch
That's
of
the
work to
worst
raise
drive.
coral to kill it.
Yeah, it would probably die. You know, you don't know. It'd have to be exact temperatures that you raised it and things. They're so finicky.
Yeah.
It'd be difficult.
Well, if we were coastal,
I think
if-
you would
if
have to be.
ever
You'd have to be
coastal,
coastal and probably like just so in tune with what the waters are and what the temperatures are. But I think appreciating it is still good as long as it's not coral like ripped off from the water.
I'm sorry you grew a fish tank fetish. I feel like I've badly influenced you.
I love it. I'm gonna go as far as I can with it.
No, that's so calming to just sit and chill with your fish. Like I can't even it's one of those things that you don't
I
know
could spend
unless you
2
like
full hours
get to
just
know
staring
them.
at this tank.
Yeah.
Honestly, because there's so much going on in it
Mhm.
between all the fish. They're all interacting in different weird ways. Like it's literally riding that snail right now. And the closer you get, the cooler it looks. I love taking my phone and just zooming in and just getting like a real close look at the
Mhm.
goby and just seeing his gills, seeing all the little everything's on him. His
Yep.
eyes move around.
Microscopic but perfect. Yeah.
Mhm. They're all thinking so hard. You can really see their personality, and it
Mhm.
makes you feel bad for fish, for sure.
I feel like my fish are
Fish are
stinking spoiled.
fish are smart.
They're spoiled.
My fish are spoiled. I'm learning how to spoil them better. I think when I have a lot of anemones in here and they have a lot more places to be, they're really gonna like it.
How
They have
many
no idea what's
anemones
to
are you
come.
gonna get? How many can you get?
Well, I want to get. There's also
I only have
I need to
one.
learn more about them so I know what the names of them are. But I do know there's like this stuff that just covers a lot of ground, and that whole back black wall. I would just love to be covered. I'd love this back wall covered and that covered with just a different anemones. And I'm probably going to create some shelves along the back wall
Mhm.
that can support coral and stuff, so I can just like level it out.
Yep.
Because I
Nice.
can have that whole space behind there. I got the rock there, and I got the space behind. If I can get some corals a little higher.
Ours look like a pin cushion. It like fold inside out and it look like a pin cushion. And when I feed it, it like curl all up inside of itself. So like all of
Right,
its
so
little
the top
fingers would
ones.
roll in, and it just looked like this little baseball with this weird little like tentacle-y opening.
Yeah. Do you know what the zoas are?
I don't know.
Protozoas? Oh, they're like they'll come up singly like that, and then they got like a
Oh, the corals.
bush top.
Mhm.
Yeah, zoa corals. Yep, those I want those because those reproduce a lot. I just want to get that rock covered.
Give it time.
I
Give
just
it
think
time.
it's
It'll
the
seem
investment.
slow.
The investment starts getting so much higher. I think it's gonna be so much fun to watch them and have so much to watch every day and just
It
see all
seems
that.
slow at first, but if you look at it the same time next year after you start introducing all of that stuff, you'll see that like it seems slow and empty at first, but it'll in no time start
I see a
filling
lot of
up and-
progress photos from people that post online. And it's really cool to see when they start putting corals in and how quick the corals actually grow. And they're animals. Y'all didn't know corals are animals. They
You probably got to put a ton of calcium in your water with corals,
do
don't you?
photosynthesize, but they're a photosynthesizing animal.
Yeah.
So they feed off like little creatures.
Yeah, I like it.
So cool.
Aliens.
Same with the anemones. Aliens.
So what else is going on in the tattoo world, Jordan?
Oh, I've been pretty relaxed about it. I've just been trying to focus on my art and drawing, and then having that reflect back in my tattoos. I've been pretty withdrawn from the tattoo community side of things lately.
I wrapped up
I've just been trying to focus on me.
a few pieces last week. I need to edit photos. I need to get on that ball. I've been kind of like a slacker on editing my finished work. I've been so
Yeah.
excited that I've
See, I've
been
trying to
finishing stuff
finish
though.
things, and like I've just been holding off so hardcore and trying to finish stuff.
Yeah, I think,
I'm on this big roll right now where I'm starting to finish so many pieces that I've started
Yep.
the past year.
I think I have 5 consultations lined up for November, and that'll probably get me through the end of the year. But it feels good when like I'm so far into scheduling like this that it's nice to actually like complete a batch of projects and be able to take a new batch of projects on like 4 or 5 at a time. It's really nice.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just, it's so much nicer than like having, you know, when I started trying to whittle my list of clients down to 25, I was at over 70, and that wasn't counting any of like my homies. And I've got a lot of projects on homies. So
I have yet to ever count the amount of projects I have going at one time.
yeah, it was totally like it made sense why I just felt like there were never enough hours. This is because I was holding myself accountable to too many people.
Everything's chipping away.
Yeah, but when I took advice from somebody else, but when I finally got my list down, and it took me over a year to do it, like probably a year and a half, but once I got it down to 25 projects, and I stay between 20 and 25 all the time now, my schedule stays about 6 weeks out. You know, I've got flexibility to move things around if people's schedules change. Like it's not the end, like if you need to reschedule, it's not like you have to wait 6 months to get back in. It's like, okay, well, let me know and I'll get you back in next month, you know, or whatever the situation is. It's just so much easier to be that much more accountable to each person that's on my schedule.
As opposed to just being this big list of just names.
Yes.
Of people you're one to the next and to the next. By the time you get to them, you don't remember them. There's so many. If you got 70 people, like that's a lot of people to remember.
Yeah. So I've got this long list. I can't tell you how many people are on it because I don't look. But I've got a long list of people just waiting for a consultation. But once we start that consultation, that's when they become one of that 25 projects. So I'm able to be totally accountable to them. It's like once they're waiting for a consultation, they're just waiting for their turn to be like to get that undivided attention. And you know, how many days are in a month? 30. So if we're talking 22, 23 projects a month, that's like plenty of days off and like extras if I'm trying to keep it in a 6-week window, like, but I still have all the work waiting in my list. If somebody's life changes, if I complete projects, I've still got the list of people waiting for consultations, and they're all ready to start immediately once we have our consultation. Like
honestly, I couldn't do the guilt of having to reschedule someone 6 months out. 6, 7, 8 months out.
And then
like
you end up working
even
sick,
if I have to tell Emily that,
hurt.
like I'm gonna still feel bad as fuck when like anything comes up. If I'm sick, it makes it such a bigger deal because I also really enjoy like I really do my best not to have to reschedule anybody, but also like if there's that day that I really need to reschedule somebody, I don't want to have to feel that guilty all day and feel like fuck this person's gonna be pissed that because I'd be pissed. I wouldn't be necessarily pissed. I understand, but it's like shit, another 6 months.
Well,
like,
and here's the other thing.
Fucking months.
What about a few months ago when my back was messed up? Like I hurt my shoulder. I wasn't like really injured, but I was just like tweaked. I definitely wasn't 100%. Like I was really hurting. So for like 3 days, like at the very start of our appointment, I started the conversation with, hey, I'm definitely not 100%. I'm probably going to be working a little bit slower today, but like if you're down, I'm down, but I'd love to do like a partial session as long as I can handle it.
Yeah.
And being that like so many of my clients are driving in and a lot of yours are traveling in too, it's nice to have the freedom to like, today's going to be a shorter session because of whatever this extenuating circumstances, but like, it's only going to be next month that I get you back in. So, or if I do have to cancel altogether, it's really easy to be like, the next Saturday I have available is yours. And the next Saturday isn't, 5 months down the road. It's like the next month.
Right.
It just makes it's just not near as disappointing. If you've been waiting 6, 7, 8 months for an appointment and they cancel last minute, even if it is a real life circumstance, and then they can't get you back in forever, where like, I see my clients at my consultation, and I usually get them in within the next couple weeks. Sometimes it's not even that 6-week window. Usually it's like as soon as you're available, I can find a day to make it work. But there's not that looming pressure of if I don't get it done now, I'm not going to get it done ever. It's that like, I'm going to go ahead and cancel because the project would be better if we did it when I was at 100%.
3 months,
You know?
3 months, make it easy on yourself. Other artists out there, make it easy on yourself. That's still all the work you can get in. And you also are not responsible for God knows how many deposits. Cause I do feel like there's a lot of people who love booking up for a year because they think it's going to make them like a reputable artist. They can say they booked up for a year.
Oh, it's awful. It's the
You've
worst
put
stress ever.
you've already planned your year out. You fucking
And
might
you
as well
don't
put
make
yourself
any
in
more.
jail.
You don't make any more booking that far ahead. That's the thing that you need to know. That's what I've learned is like, I make the same amount. It depends on how many appointments I schedule in a week and a month.
I
It
feel like
doesn't-
it's also greedy though, too. You know, with the deposits, I feel like some of it comes from wanting to take that many deposits because, oh shit, I have 200 emails to get to right now. Well, shit, if I scheduled 200 people, 200 times
I
200,
didn't even think
what
about
does
that
equal?
angle.
And so then it's like, okay, cool. Well, right off the bat here, I can make a good 10 grand or however much that equals out to.
I didn't even think about that. I'm so unmoney motivated, man. I didn't even think about that hustle, but that's
And
definitely a hustle.
I don't like being responsible for that kind of money because I don't think it's
a lot of people to be accountable to. What happens if you get injured, if you've got all those deposits?
COVID hits, bam, you know, you got 6 months, you know, shop shut down for 4 or 5 months. All of those people need to be rescheduled. A lot of those people super pissed, and some of those people want their money back. Also, non-refundable deposits. So you're probably not, you know, either way, you're already at the understanding that that's probably not going to happen. So you should reschedule for sure. But still, that makes you feel real guilty. Doesn't make a good person feel good when you have to play with people's money like that and reschedule people left and right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like this whole little spiel, like in a nutshell, like collectors, if you're listening, hopefully you hear all the different struggles that we have as tattooers, just trying to like make our way through our schedule, you know.
Right. Let your artist schedule however they do. Also, don't go to your artist and be like, I heard that it was bad to do it for a year. You know, just let them do whatever they do. That's
Yeah.
totally fine.
You know what? Let's go back.
Thanks for listening to our struggles.
Let's go
though.
back to they're not mind readers.
Yeah.
And don't take it personal.
Mm-hmm.
So like
and
if
your
you
artist
haven't
books
heard
out
back,
for a year,
don't take it personal.
Your artist books out for a year, that does not mean they just want your money. But I worry that there's artists out there who get greedy, and I could definitely see the temptation of wanting to make a lot of money in a day. Say I'm gonna have my email day and I'm just gonna go hard today. I drank a bunch of coffee. I'm gonna fucking go hard.
You're
in my
gonna
emails.
schedule them all.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking schedule them all, make all this money from it. I think that's tempting for people. You know, for an artist who makes, you know, is reputable and got a lot of people that want to book up. But I don't think it's responsible, and I think you're making your life really hard. You can do it. It doesn't make you a bad person to do it, because that's just like literally the business. I mean, you would be doing that either way, whether you're greedy or whether you're not greedy. If you're going to book that many people, you're going to take that many deposits. So that's all fair, but make it easy on yourself. 3 months, make it easy on your clients.
Yeah, 3 months I think is a pretty normal window. That was actually my goal until I was advised, like, you just need a month's worth of work. And then he was even like, to be fair, you just need a week's worth of work lined up and you're secure. And I was like, you know, you are absolutely right. Like there's no advantage to having a schedule that's a mile long. And
as long as you can spend 1 day a month booking yourself up 1 month, you know what I mean? You can keep on this, you can keep it up and keep 3 months, just solid, always that 3 months always booked up. Just find 1 day a month where you can get some consultations in or whatever it is.
You like it doing your consultation days?
I like my consultation days.
It's nice.
It's been a little bit more sporadic since Emily's been doing it.
Just getting in people that have been waiting.
Yeah, just finding time, you know. Yeah, okay, we got an hour here. Well, let's do that. And that's cool with me. I do like my days overall, but then we get those ones in, it's great.
Yeah. Once I started doing consultation
I normally
days,
don't think about those and just fitting people in, because I'm not on top of my emails enough to just be like, oh yeah, cool, I got an hour today. it's like, well, if I'll message you Monday, let you know.
I like my consultation days. I wake up and I like prepare a little bit differently on those days because I know all day long I'm going to be brainstorming. I know all day long I'm going to be like
Talking.
tapping into other people's brainstorms and other people's imaginations. And so like I prepare myself for like
Put
not
your
knowing
creative-
who's
your
going to sit
creative
down in
thinking
front of
hat
me.
on.
Yeah.
Thinking hat.
Yeah. Like I always make sure I eat well before I go in on those days. Like
The other hermit crab is now writing this now. The other
that's
one.
hilarious.
You've probably seen him. That is so funny.
But
But yeah, I think
it's
I prepare differently too. Like, and just mentally, for
like,
sure.
yeah, when I'm going into tattoo, I'm preparing for like whatever person I'm meeting, whatever
I think
project
it's
I'm
fun.
working
I love
on.
meeting the different personalities. I loved thinking like at the beginning of the day and just like wondering who's going to be in, like, what are these different people going to be like?
And when I
think
look at
that's
the
fun.
email conversations at the beginning of the day to kind of like get a gist for the projects that are coming in that day, it's cool to see how like their conversations with M go and then what they're like in person.
Mhm.
And it's cool to like connect the pieces.
Right. I love when the pieces connect too, or when Emily's like stops in or something and we smoke or something in the middle of the day, and then people are like, "Oh, you're Emily?" I'm like, "Oh, cool. Well, I feel like I already know you."
Can you hand me those scissors, please? Thank you.
Oh man, having an assistant's so helpful though. Having an assistant that is your partner, I think some people might encounter difficulties with it, but this literally is the best
Well, I mean,
because of how
if you
responsive we can
work
be
well
on
as
it.
a team, it should only help you as a team, if
You know, if it's like a chore, if
collectively
it's a
have the
chore
same
for the other
goals.
person, then I don't think it would work out. If they felt like they had to do it or something like that. Like she really thoroughly enjoys doing it. There's, I think it's also not doing it for free either. But that's why, I would like if she's offered to do it for free. Like I don't want it to be that way. I'm like, let me make sure it's like worth your while in general. Because I want you to be into it. She was already going to be into it, but it's like, I just feel better paying someone and being like, all right, this is like we got a system here.
Yeah, I need to get with my M, and it's been several weeks since we've actually sat face to face. We FaceTimed and we text back and forth a lot about what's going on, but we need to like just sit and have that like both of our computers out together. And it just feels good to have like when it's time to tweak my webpage, it's really nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, or like, do you think it would be better worded like this or like this? Do you think I'm going to have less confusion if I say it this way or this way? Do I need to repeat that?
Right. See, that's the kind of things we go over all the time too. I love that. Like, and it also,
Or like,
I like
here's
it
my
because
here's the big one.
it's a cool thing where like, well, it just helps my own communication because I'm like, I see how she would say something to someone, and I'm like, this is how I would say something. It's like, all right, let's meet in the middle and find this way to say this because of some problematic, conversation or a conversation that's a little more difficult to deal with than another.
I tend to try to keep my webpage very blunt and concise, like as few words as possible, because I think there's the least room for confusion, the fewer words you use, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
However, the flip side is when you're blunt like that, it can be taken as very curt and very like douchebaggy. So I always like, and I'll ask Derb all the time, like Emily and I will go back and forth about the best way to word things. And even still, like, I'll be like, Derb, does this make me sound like a douchebag?
Mhm.
Like, I don't intend for it to sound that way. I just want to make it clear, like blunt.
Right. I
So
feel like that's Emily.
I don't want to
comes in
come
pretty
off
well
as a
with that.
douche,
She's
but I
got a
also want to
good
be
customer
like
service.
concise. Yeah.
She's really good with customer service and like putting on that type of like, being happy for the customer and all that and talking to people, the way they would want to be talked to feel comfortable.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to
And
come off as arrogant,
I'm
but I
not
don't
always
want to
that
leave
way,
room
and
for
I feel like I learn a
confusion.
lot. Because I feel like I can be with text and stuff. Like you talk to me in person, like I feel like you're probably gonna get the best of me. But like when I text, I can be pretty blunt, and like especially if I don't use emojis, like I
Right.
feel like it could be taken in a lot of different ways. And I always find out that people take things in a different way, and then I'm like, oh no, I didn't mean it like that. Like that was my inflection was totally different. But
Right.
I see how I read back and now I see that.
I can see the
They're like, yeah, no,
confusion.
I was intimidated. I was like, oh, sorry.
That's why I like to put the astronaut emoji at the end of things, because like that's my like, oh, I'm currently high, so I'm replying as I would if I were high.
I do that with the alien face to everything.
Yeah, that way, like, I'm not, and like if there was some sarcastic tone, it was in your head, not real.
Right.
Like sometimes people can misconstrue a thumbs up. Like,
see, those I don't like getting thumbs up. Don't thumbs up me. Love it. Don't like it. If you liked it, I know you didn't love it.
I use the thumbs up in exchange for okay a lot, to like acknowledge like seen, thumbs up.
Yeah.
But
no,
like,
it's fair. I think there's actually time and place for it, because sometimes it's like, well, why would you love it? Like, it's kind of like a little much. A little much for this. Okay. Well, let's see how you feel. You either don't care at all and you're just loving it, or you love this too much. No, what I don't like is being sent a thumb. I think just like an acknowledgement, it's okay. Usually tends to be more deflected downwards though, because usually you want someone to love something you say. But if you send someone a thumbs up, that is a direct, like, okay, fuck you.
oh, well, don't add that tone to my thumbs up.
Just don't send a thumbs up. You can like it. Don't send a thumb. I thought that's like rule of emoji land.
I usually even put like my spaceman
That's
and
like
then a thumbs
that's
up.
like a cool. I get it. Not
Yeah.
worth the words.
If I use a hand gesture, I'm either gonna use like the spaceman or the
Yours
sunglasses
are polite.
emoji.
Yours are polite. It's usually like, "Hey, spaceman." That's usually like the fawn hello. It's like a wavy thing and then a spaceman.
Yeah. It's hard. It's a funny thing, because like I know some people's pet peeve is when you text them hey, because it's just like, why'd you text me hey? Why didn't you just text to say whatever you were gonna say? But sometimes it's like I just wanted to see if you were up and you know what the next question's gonna be.
Fair. If someone ever says hey to me, my next thing is gonna be hey.
I don't know.
Hey,
I like
hey,
the wavy hand
what you
because
want?
it's like a good morning, good afternoon. Hey, how are ya? I don't know.
But that's fair. That's fair.
I actually wave at people in public though. I'm that white. I even do like the nerdy white smile.
Well, how you doing there?
Well, hey there. Oh yeah. It's the Michigan coming out in me. I can't help it.
Sure is gonna get cold, isn't it?
It's like you gotta like throw up. That's the Michigan gang sign. It's just your whole hand. If you know, you
Is that
know.
too perfect?
Oh, the dirty mitten. I'm so overdue for a trip up there.
Yeah, probably gonna have to go out there this month. It sucks not having a vehicle right now. I need a vehicle.
So I have a friend who's selling one. If you want to just get a hoopty to get you back.
What is it?
It's a Honda something, $1,500.
I'm looking to get something nice right now. Nicer. Doesn't have to be nice. Newer used.
Newer used-ish.
Newer used-ish, but it has to be a hatchback of some sort. Hatchback or truck. I'm okay with a hatchback. It just needs some sort of space for stuff.
I want a two-seater.
I'm
was
okay
looking
with
at Audi TTs
Ubering
the
and
other
doing what
day.
I'm doing with that. With I do have a car some days, so I'm good.
I have realized I have an affinity for German vehicles, and Ben and I were talking about this at pool or on our way to pool. He's like, yeah, it's because you actually drive. I was like, it makes sense because like German cars are engineered for the Autobahn, but like the weather in Germany is extreme, like it is in this region of the United States. Like we have hot winters, or hot summers, we have cold winters, we have to deal with ice, we have to deal with blowing snow. Like German cars just seem to be engineered to handle that, man.
Try finding a car right now. God. Yeah, I feel you.
There's a
I
smart
feel
car
you.
in
I feel
town
you
that I
about
keep
German
looking
cars.
at, but it's a convertible, and I really am not a fan of convertibles, but it's tempting.
Like, I can afford getting a car right now. I just like, fuck, it's so hard to find something
What you want?
what I want, and then everything is overpriced. Like I have to pay what I have to pay.
Mhm.
But you know what I mean? Like I know it's way more than what it would have been literally a year ago.
Oh yeah. I've had
And,
my
like,
van
it's hard to
forever.
accept. I'm like,
It's
God,
not gonna
I wish
last forever.
I
I've-
wish I wasn't in a dire need so I could like spend more time to even get something,
Mhm.
more. So like exactly what I want. 'Cause that's what I wanted. I'm put in the situation and I need something.
Yeah.
quick, but I don't want to get another vehicle. It's going to break down quick
Right.
because I got 2 fucking junk vehicles. Oh,
No, I was looking at vans just like mine, just like out of curiosity. Like, I either want a newer version of what I have, because my van's really like, it's super comfortable. It's older, but like it was like the Cadillac of vans when it was new. So it's leather throughout. It's nice. Like I said, it's older. It's a
Mhm.
03. So, and I've packed the miles on it. But I was looking at other Explorer vans just to see, like, I'd like my next van to be like one of the Mercedes Cummins diesels, just because I have more possibilities with it.
Mhm.
But I was just looking at what a newer version of my van would cost, and they're through the roof. And then I found a van identical to mine with similar amount of miles.
80,000, 100,000.
It was 23,000 miles. Did I tell you my van is a 03? You mean to tell me that an 18-year-old vehicle is $23,000, and that's what it actually sold for, not what they wanted for it. That's what it sold for.
Crazy.
It's like, man, I did not pay that much for this. I guess I'll just keep putting money into this for a few years. I mean, I'm totally content with my van, but it's like, that was it's literally double.
Yeah,
I
getting
paid
another
11
van's
for
gonna
mine.
it's gonna be
This
hard.
was 23. Crazy. Blew my mind.
Yeah, you
Blew
gotta-
my mind. So I was
you
like,
got a
well,
good
I
thing.
guess I'm going to go ahead and get you back in the shop and put some more money into you this year and keep you on the road a little longer. There's nothing wrong with it. I keep it roadworthy. It's just due for oil change. And, it's gone on a few road trips this year. So,
Right.
all the basic maintenance stuff, like look it over, check it all off the list.
Yep.
I do want another little 2-seater though. I've been talking about it all year long. I can't wait till I'm done with my teeth. Once the teeth situation's done, I'm going to get what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still got a lot to spend on my teeth though. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah. My focus is this car right now. And figure that out. I want something though. Something good.
what kind of car do you want? You want a truck, don't you?
I like a truck. A Toyota would
Do you
be
want to go
nice.
full size?
But trucks are just very expensive. Very expensive. And what I do want to pay right now is gonna be high mileage. Everything's gonna be high mileage.
Yeah.
And but I also kind of like a Subaru or something.
That all-wheel drive
Mhm.
hatchback.
Yep.
I'm with it.
I like a good Subaru. I almost want to get a manual, but I won't get a manual.
My next car that is on the, if it's a smart car, that's great. It's got the little slap shift on it, or you can drive it in manual mode. I was just learning how to drift when
I
we
love a
cracked the
clutch.
head gasket in
Love a
mine.
good clutch. Keeps my hands
Um,
busy too. Makes me not want to smoke them. Do what?
Do things.
Like, do things. Yeah.
It keeps
While
your
dri-
hands
while
busy.
driving.
It keeps your hands busy. Yeah, I
Incriminate
definitely
myself.
my next 2-seater will definitely be a stick for sure.
I want to
I
stick,
enjoy
but it's a big
driving.
investment if I get sick of it. I just like having hands free
Yeah.
too.
In reality, what if I wait long enough to get a van that my next van is like an autonomous one, like it's a Tesla van that I can just be like, okay, van, go here. And then my 2-seater, my toy car will be the one that I drive because I enjoy driving.
Like that.
Yeah, I think that could be cool because I really do enjoy driving. Like I was a little kid, I had a dirt bike when I was 6. So it kind of started early on.
Yeah.
Grew up around big trucks.
Doing some dirt bikes.
Maybe.
I love dirt bikes so much. I never had the opportunity when I was young, but I always wanted to really bad. And then I had time in my life for a couple of years where I had a dirt bike and then didn't have it. Never really had too much space. I had friends' houses that had it.
Mhm.
But
Oh, I just loved kicking up mud with mine, plant my feet and just come back in the house just looking like Swamp Thing. It should be
Yeah.
covered in mud and sand and so much fun. I
yeah,
was such a dirty kid. I had to drive my mom nuts for real, like all the time. I'd come in, I'd have like leaves in my hair. It was awful. Like, and my mom, you've met her. She's one of those people that is like, she likes things tidy. She likes things orderly. And then she gets me as a child. I'm passively the messiest thing around. Like I'm not destructive, but I leave a trail of messes. Always.
Trail of paint.
Yeah. Trail of messes everywhere. Always bringing like nature in the house.
I think I'm definitely the most organized in my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I have one uncle. He might be as organized.
All right. All right. I mean, you have
He's got
turned
his
into,
organization together.
yeah. I think once you start shifting to like technology oriented, it makes you very order of operations, and this goes
Mhm.
here, this comes here, and you get
Right.
very like
I'm not even that organized here.
like this is trashed. Look at this cord management. Things are dangling everywhere.
I literally could say that though. I feel that way. I've got the most minimum cord management. I need to do a lot more. If I posted this to my PC Facebook page that I follow,
They would be
there
disappointed.
would be 100 comments of how fucking terrible this looks.
Well, Jordan,
I couldn't even do it. I'd be like, hey, what's PC? It looks weird right here. And then they'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with your cords? Maybe get your fucking cord control in control first, and then then talk about
then
your
reach
PC.
out to us.
Right. It'd just be some elitist fucking bullshit. PC people are so weird. I did that one time, and that was exactly what happened to me. Like I was doing something.
First of all, you got to figure out what your problem even is, bro.
Right. They're like telling me how bad it looked, and like, nice try, but get your cords under control. Like, fine, I will.
Watch this.
Right. And I did.
They're gonna be so controlled. You so controlled.
Controlled as fuck. But I tell you what, if what was here wasn't here, it would be wild. Underneath here, there's like a hole. There's
Mhm.
2 big holders that are just full of them.
I ordered another one of these little power boxes for the shop because I'm starting to have a lot of like devices sitting around between the rechargeable tattoo machines and like the little camera devices, or like when I pull out the big cameras and use them while I'm at the shop. I just need more like desktop power source.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've got extension cords everywhere and I want to keep it tidy, at least where things are charging.
I got this I got the big battery pack, and that literally it's got so much charge in it. It would fucking charge. A camera could go all day on it.
Yeah,
sure.
I thought about getting one of those battery packs and just putting them on the base of my tattoo station, and just that way I don't even have to like have my iPad plugged into the
They're
wall,
heavy,
or I
they're
could
not-
set
it's
my
not gonna
computer
move.
there and not plug it into the wall.
It could be perfect. I
I
was
should.
using that with just as a power supply for a little bit.
Yeah, I should do that because it wouldn't hurt to have. I mean, those bases are nice and heavy, but it wouldn't hurt to have even more weight on it.
Yeah, to keep it there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, or something sticky underneath to hold it there.
Yeah, just so that like, just so that we're like not. I don't know. If we can get that cord from across the room, because inevitably, if we
some
spill
sort of cord
things, it's
control
because we
going.
trip over a cord.
Right. So being able to, now you're going to start having, you don't need a cord connected to it. This would be connected to that. So you could have that on some little thing.
Yep.
So
Yeah, but this will be
but you
nice
would
because
have
I
no
can just
cord.
plug everything, I can have all my machines charging. I can have my little battery pack charging, and then I can still set my phone on top of it. Keep my station a little bit tidier instead of having like 6 cords plugged into this power strip on this area and another 6 cords across the room in this area. I can just have everything all in one like electronic.
That's what I'm saying.
And then also that's not going to be in any of my actual workspace area or the areas, because like right now my electronics are sharing where I like, let's call it my pre-stage area. It's not actually my tattoo surface, but it's like the area where I like line up my ink bottles when I'm getting colors out, and I'll like take my materials out of the cabinet and set them here, like as I'm setting up and as they're going to the clean area. You know what I mean? Like it's my pre-staging, but it's always filled with electronics also. Like, I mean, it doesn't really hurt anything, but like it would be nicer and tidier to keep that simply a pre-stage area, like all of my setup materials, and then I clear it off as I set up, and then as I tear down, that's where things go back before they go up into the cabinet. Like it would be nice to not have that shared area just for like potential cross contamination's sake, anything like that. It would just keep all the electronics away. So yeah, but I think that's going to make my room a lot tidier looking. I also got this arm. So I don't know how many of you actually follow me on Instagram or follow the tattoo collecting page on Instagram, but for the last few weeks, I've been going live a lot during my sessions. I've been trying to get comfortable having like cameras on me and finding like the appropriate camera angles and like just to get used to like being live and like having that stream going while I'm around and monitoring it. But I'm going to start interacting a lot more. I just got a mount that I can drop a camera from the ceiling and then I can just monitor from my workstation, you know, as people are chiming in. Because before I would only know if I like happened to stand up if somebody asked a question. So now I'll be able to start actually interacting and I'll have like a nice camera angle so you can see exactly what I'm doing without my head being in the way. And then you know, so any tattooers that have like random questions and you want a safe place to ask them, like I'm definitely opening myself up for like sharing all kinds of tricks with you, or collectors if you want to log in and I guess not even log in, but just jump on when I'm live or even like watch the videos after the fact. Hit me up, ask me questions. You know, I would love to.
Right, you can have your client read off questions.
Yeah. I mean, if I
you
put
don't have
it,
a way to see it easily right off the bat, too, just be like, hey,
I can set up both iPads so I can have like my little iPad as a monitor so I can see what people are asking now. So
I think people would be happy having a little task and a little job.
Yeah, I can always hand the extra device to my client, but I want to start offering these tricks. You know, there are a lot of people. I didn't have an apprenticeship, and if I had somebody who, you know, I had to learn things the hard way. There are a lot of things that I had to learn upstream, and there wasn't even like an appropriate place for me to be like, hey, okay, so I've already been doing this for 2 years. I've already been managing a shop for a year and a half. Like, I'm in it. I'm professional. Like, however, because of the situation, or even people that did have apprenticeships, there are still some things that get skipped, or maybe something that like your mentor wanted to teach you, but you didn't take it seriously at the time. So like, regardless of the situation, it would have been so helpful if I just had like a safe place to be like, okay, so here's this one question I have, or here's this one trick that I'm struggling with. What am I not getting? Why isn't it clicking? You know, like, so I guess I'm just kind of like offering myself to be like that safe place. I've worked in so many different styles of tattooing over the years. You know, for the first like 10 years of my career, anytime anybody came to me with anything they wanted, it would be like, if it was something I hadn't done before, I'd look at it as like, okay, challenge accepted. You know, if I figure out how to do this, it's just another bag of tricks that I can add to my repertoire. You know, it's just another thing that I'm able to do. So that being said, there are just so many things that I've learned how to do over the years and so many things that I'm learning now. And I just, you know, I want to share that knowledge because it's really hard. Even if you have had an apprenticeship, even if you've had a great apprenticeship, sometimes there's just this one thing you're struggling with and like, you don't know, like, how do I do it better? Or is it wrong to do it this way? Like there's this new trick that I figured out. Is there anything negative to doing it like this? Because there are some tricks that I've figured out working on my own where it's like, I really like to do this, but I don't really know, like, is this something I shouldn't be doing? Is there a reason that this isn't something that people are already doing? And then when I like hear other artists that I look up to like drop tricks and knowledge and they're using that same trick, it's like, oh,
right.
Okay. All right. That is a cool trick to use. And okay. All right. You know, have you had those moments where you're like, I don't know if this feels right, but I don't know if it's right. And like, I don't even know who to ask if this is right.
Oh yeah. I play all the time. Absolutely.
So anyways, I'm opening myself up to just kind of be a safe place. If you're a tattooer or a collector, just like when you see me live, hit me up. Or if you see like after I have gone live and you followed along or you just jumped in for a few minutes or whatever, if you have any questions, hit up the Tattoo Collecting 101 DM or Tattoo Collecting Podcast DM. And you know, I want to answer those questions. I want to share that knowledge. I want to, you know, sometimes sometimes it's just the littlest trick that will open up a whole new realm of possibilities in your tattooing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when that one trick clicks, or that one thing that you've been trying and missing, like when that one missing ingredient is kind of sprinkled in your lap, like it opens up so much. And that's what I want to see. You know, we live in a world where there are tattooers and tattooers and tattooers. And like, you know, if you want to push it further, if you want to do something different, you know, sometimes it just takes a few little tricks to be unlocked, to like really open a whole new pathway that nobody else is working, or, you know, only a few people are working, or like, you know, just to, it's all about improving. It's all about, you know, like we can all do the same things, and we can follow the same trends, and then those trends will die and change, or we can do something different and we can make the next trend. And that's what it's about. That's why we share information, and that's why we push one another. And so anyways, long story short, I'm going live. I haven't been very talkative yet, but now I feel like I'm comfortable enough that I can like work and kind of just every now and then look over and keep an eye on if people are asking questions. I just didn't want to get to the, what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure that I could have the electronics around me and still give 95% of my focus to my client. I don't want to focus any more than like 5 to 7% of my attention to the electronics, period.
Right.
I
Keep
want
jumping back and forth from your
I
camera
want
and checking on things, taking your gloves
correct.
off, doing one thing, going
I
back.
want
Oh, let me check on this. Oh, camera's off. Oh, camera's on.
I want these cameras to be rolling, and I want to be sharing, but 95% of my focus needs to be on what I'm doing. And if it's just somebody asking occasionally a question, and while I'm working, I get to explain even further why and what I'm doing, that's not distracting me whatsoever. That's just me elaborating on why and what and how I'm doing what I'm doing.
Right.
But I don't want to be working here and worried about a camera angle. I don't want to be working here and worried like, oh, can I see who's commenting and who's questioning? Can they see what I'm doing? Can they hear me? I want to be set up. Once I hit go live, it gets only 5% of my attention. So that's my goal. And that's why, you know, the past several weeks, as I've been kind of experimenting with new ways to go live and share these videos. I haven't really talked a lot. I haven't really acknowledged the camera a lot, but now that I've found more comfortable ways to work with the camera, I feel like I'm to the point where I can concentrate on my project and then just talk.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been working towards. So if you've been like jumping in here and there and wondering why it's just like silence, it's because like I don't want to give the electronics more focus than my project. My project is forever. The electronic me sharing is just a bonus. So but anyways,
any more energy in that, and that's just a headache.
Yeah, that's it. I just don't want to take that energy from my client. But
sorry, I gotta pee real fast.
yeah, but if you guys are chilling and you want to join in when I go live, usually I do it at least a couple of times on each session. I don't always save each portion to my like videos, but like if you're a tattooer, you can see what I'm doing. Like I'm not hiding anything. I've got the camera angle so you can like watch the colors I'm using. You can watch the orders that I'm putting them in. Even if I'm not like verbally telling you step by step, you can literally follow along step by step. You can watch, you know, for a few minutes while I line an area, and you can skip forward 15 minutes in the video, and you can watch how I like start saturating the darkest darks first and just like committing things early on, and you can skip forward and see like how I'm doing things halfway through the session. And then when you get to the end, you can see how I'm even preparing the skin and how I'm cleaning it at the end of the session, and like the care I take, and like the way I massage the area that I've tattooed. Like I really take a minute to like massage and stimulate and inspect. And, you know, I really like try to take care of the skin and take note of any areas that might be a struggle healing, or, you know, so there, like any part, even if I'm not speaking, there's a lot of knowledge, and there's like a lot of like, you can see like my bedside care. You can, some of the videos I turn the sound off if there's loud music playing at the shop, but if there's not, like you can hear our conversations and you can hear how we talk to one another. And so there's, you know, even if I'm not speaking, there's a lot there that you know, if you're a younger tattooer or you're a newer tattooer or you're a tattooer that's not quite comfortable sharing your space with your clients yet, which is definitely a hurdle for some people to get over. It was for me. You know, you can see how I handle my clients. You know, I stand and watch Derb all the time. Anytime I'm done working and he's working, I love to stand and just watch. And there are certain things that he does that I'm trying to start doing in the way that I work. And it's just like different touches and different, you know, different ways to stretch the skin and different ways to like manipulate people and like,
Right, just the little subtle things that you
Yeah.
pick up on.
yeah. So like, even if I'm not speaking, even if you're just watching and you're watching like 15 seconds here and you skip forward and you watch 15 seconds there, there's little things that you can pick up. And if you have any questions about what I'm doing or why I'm doing any of those specific little things, hit me up and ask me, because I would love to explain it, because, you know, I only want to learn more. And I feel like karmically, you can only learn so much without reciprocating and like giving that knowledge back. That's just how it works. Like you've got to share if you want these doors to be open to new tricks and tools. Like I've got to teach the ones that I've already got. Or, you know, I'm looking forward to the questions where it's like, I don't know that one. Let me do some homework. Those are the questions that I'm
Right.
looking for. Like I want to learn with you guys too.
I enjoy the
So,
opportunity to talk about what I'm doing, because it's not just, you know, it's not just talking about it. Like it helps me reinforce the things that I am doing as well. Like just being able to like hear something out loud, and I don't know, there's something about that.
mhm.
I enjoy that.
I feel like there's something that like solidifies things within me too when I teach them. Like I think one of the things that made me so good at ceramics so quickly is like, as soon as I got something, I was like teaching the rest of the class how to do it. Like as soon as I got it, I was like helping the other kids in the after school art class.
Right.
And it just like locked it in. Like if I explained it to somebody else, then it just like locks it into me.
Right, like,
even
and in your
harder.
head you might know how to do it, you might be doing it all the time, you might never, you know, you don't explain it to anybody, you just kind of like in your head know how to do it, you know, abstract version of thought.
Mhm.
But then it's, yeah, as soon as you say it to somebody, I feel like that's just like writing something down. You've solidified the thoughts and the steps that it takes to do that in a way that can be verbally communicated, so someone else could do that, which also makes it so like now you have also created a system for what, you know, whatever that was. And I don't know, hearing something out loud, it's just like, it's like a right and left brain thing. You got the abstract thought of it, and then you
Mhm.
have the solidified, you know,
Thanks for the coffee.
systematic
due.
thought of it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, we're running out. It's getting a little cold in here.
So the other thing is I was talking to Jasmine, and she's one of Derb's assistants at Red Tree and True Tubes. And I think we're going to start. I've already actually made it, but I haven't really done anything on it yet. But tattoo collecting Twitch. And also I think we're going to have a Red Tree Twitch. So the cool thing is the more, I think the more Jasmine and I can get the comfortability of chilling with the cameras all the time, the more we can get that down and the less invasive we can make it. Like the future goal is anytime there's a cool project going on at Red Tree, and usually any given day there's several cool projects, we can just like bounce the camera from one room to the next and just share what each of us are doing. And you can, you know, if you're a collector or a tattooer, you can like pop in and, you know, even if you're a collector and you don't necessarily want to learn how to tattoo, you can see like how we are, you know, you can see what our energy is like.
Is she gonna be in charge of the Twitch?
I don't, we're just in the brainstorming phases of it, but probably.
Just wondering. I know one thing about the Twitch is that you gotta be on it all the time for it to like catch it on.
Yeah.
And stuff. It's definitely algorithm.
Well, that's where like we're close enough. If we set up a Twitch feed on this device,
if I'm handed any responsibility with
if
it.
we're just going back and forth between like my room and your room, that gives us double the exposure. But if Jasmine's on it and she's like broadcasting from one of our rooms,
system of going online easily.
Yeah.
So like we got to set up and we can go right online, press of a button or something like that. That makes it so much easier just to be whenever, but like having to like set up the whole system and go through, click everything, set this up, this
I
and this
think
up.
it might be my
That's the hard
excuse
part.
to get a little tiny 360 camera so that we could literally have just like this guy and like the smallest little camera on it, and then the viewers could catch
I
any
feel like
angle,
a
kind of like
360
Keith was talking about,
360
but you
camera,
still need
you probably
somebody
have to spend a
to.
lot of money for one that would be worth the kind
They're
of video
getting
quality.
much more cost effective. Like a few years ago, what I would want would have been like 800 or $1,000. Now we're in like the $300 to $500 range.
Okay.
So like less than these. Like not cheap, but like less than like
Right.
our broadcasting cameras.
Right. I don't know enough about those. I always worry that like something like that, it's just like, because it's got the 360, you're paying $500 for 360ness and then like shitty quality or something
No,
like
they're
that.
getting really, really good.
That's cool.
Yeah, like
I
8K.
Yeah, I can't say anything about it 'cause I've never
8K,
looked at
Jordan.
price.
8K.
I figured they'd be like good one would be like 1,000.
Yeah, 8K would be 1,000. You can get a 4K for like
8K.
35 or
8K.
350. I mean,
That's a lot.
yeah.
It's a lot
Do you know
of
how
K.
big of a file that is?
It's a lot of K.
That's like you can zoom in like
Wonder at what frame rate. I think that would
usually
be the
30.
thing. Yeah.
They're usually either 30 or 60.
Yeah. 30 is usually every movie you've ever seen.
Did
is
you know a
30.
year ago I could not have answered any of those questions? A year ago, I'd have been like,
Honestly,
I don't know what that
a year and a
is.
half, 2 years ago, I could not have answered those questions. I learned so much when I got my PC. It's insane.
Yeah.
I started focusing so much more on frame rates with them actually. Well, I guess photography made me think about frame rates, and then like my GoPro, I started thinking about it a lot. I started doing more video stuff.
When you started
But
seeing
then I
like
got
the
computer, and I
smoothness of the
started seeing
videos.
the real relevance of what
Mhm.
frame rates are really doing, and then dived into literally like the science of that, which when you're
And then you start to
PC video
understand why
games,
you need such
you're
processing
trying to
power
do
and
so
how
much
much
to process, to get the right frame rate that you want, that you're seeing what it
nuts.
takes to get it.
It's nuts.
And you
It's a
realize
lot.
that like high frame rate takes a lot of power, and it takes a lot for a computer to process
The
that.
files are just so big.
Mhm.
It's just so big.
The processing power for it to continue. It's
Well,
cool though.
we've been rambling for like
No, Chris.
2 hours,
okay.
37 minutes.
It's okay.
It's going to work out. He's going to join us so we can talk about aliens together. We're going to talk about caddies and aliens. It's going to happen.
Chris. Come on. I was kidding.
All right,
It's
guys.
all good.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about this afternoon before we hop off of here? Anything you can think of that we didn't touch on?
Well, everyone should always stare at the skies. The UFOs are up there somewhere. Head of NASA even said it now. He said, get ready for them.
Get ready for
In
him.
different words, yeah. Yeah. So prepare for extraterrestrial contact, for prepare for the something of extraterrestrial contact.
What if we've invited them? Like not
The
like we
possibility.
as in you
Prepare
and
for the
I, but what
possibility
if
of
they're like,
extraterrestrial
okay,
contact.
guys, if you're out there,
So the head of
or
NASA is all about
what
it.
if they're just like, come help us? We did it. You were right. We warmed it up too much. How we cool it back down? We need some exothermal stuff going on.
See, that's what I want to know, though. Like, why are they here? Maybe there's some big hybrid program where exactly that, like their planet broken down. Now they're a spacefaring race where really they need to come to a new planet. But if you're coming to the new planet, how can you come to the new planet? It might be super poisonous for you. So you got to learn how to live there. So how do you learn how to live there? Hybrids with the sentient beings that are closest. If you're a bipedal being in space and you see this other bipedal being down there that's close to your DNA in some sort of way, maybe you hybrid with them.
Hybridized.
They say there's so many alien abductions that happen that, like, I'm not saying I believe all that.
Did you watch the new American Horror Story?
I like to think about all that.
Did you watch the new American Horror Story?
I did. It aligns very well with it all. But
Okay.
like what I like about it is
No spoilers.
the whole thing was very much, because I'm not even talking about that. It just aligns perfectly with what the real theories are. So they did a great job explaining like exactly like what like the real conspiracies behind it are. And honestly, I think a lot of it's actually true. I was like, holy shit, they're actually doing this in this show. Like this is really like, because I don't know. So that's a whole question for a whole other story. But if they are up there, they might actually be doing something. And there's a lot of people that have, thousands and thousands of people that have, had abduction reports. I think that gets on the more woo-woo side of things that I don't know if I 100% believe or not, but there are a lot of people that have revolving theories and stories, and so many of them are, they like meet their babies, and they meet like little hybrid babies, and they meet beings that like bring them different looking beings that kind of look like them, and they get these feelings of like, like I've known this baby like holy shit my whole life, and then like later in life they're introduced to like another one that's like adult, like a full fucking grown ass one, and they're having dreams of this shit, or they're being abducted and having these crazy night paralysis of things like that. I don't know if I necessarily believe it all, but these are some of the things that remember when I told you that I went to COSM and I talked to, when I was sitting with Alex Gray and I was sitting with Robert Schock, or not Robert Schock, James Carmen. Robert Schock was a different presenter that night. James Carmen, he was he makes all these different movies, but he was making this huge UFO documentary, and also was like a UFO like researcher, and like was researching like abductions, and was getting in, really diving into that, and just hit on his own, talked to like over 1,000 people about abductions. And that's what spurred the interest in me telling him about I was like, oh my God, you got to know all my UFO stories. So I told him as much as I could, and he dived into it more and was breaking down that whole hybrid theory to me. And he's like, this is like honestly what all the people I've talked to, like this is, broke that down. And then he made this whole movie called The Hidden Hand, and I watched that movie, and that explains it even further.
The Hidden Hand, huh? Okay.
It was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is.
I'm gonna have to look into it.
Right. What else cool about that? I don't know. Maybe you have an alien baby out there, so you should look at the skies and maybe you'll get abducted and find out. No, I don't know. Regardless, don't even think about abductions, but there are lights in the sky.
I don't think I have an alien baby, Jordan. I don't think I do.
I don't think you do. I think I might. I think if it's a real thing, I might. I would think that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. But I don't believe that to be true, honestly. In my heart of hearts, I don't think that is the case. But I like to entertain that theory, because I do think there are aliens up there, and I do wonder why they're here. What are they doing? Could just be visiting, could just be like playful, you know what I mean? Just like for the sake of, they have a craft like a bicycle, like a bicycle, we could go right around outside, they have a craft. They could be just as smart as us. They might not even be that smart. They were just endowed with technology, so they might just be traveling all over the place. Or they could be super intelligent. They could be AI drones. I like to think they're up there having fun.
All right. Well, on that note.
Yeah. Okay, Fawn. I'm just kidding. I could go on and on all day.
I know.
I could go on and on. On that note.
Yeah. I think
keep looking at the sky.
Yeah, keep looking at the sky. Next week we'll be back with some more shenanigans. Been reaching out to people, lining people up. I wish we could have had Chris on today. I'm really excited to nerd out with him. He's actually just great at talking, and he's actually had his own podcast. I don't know if he's still doing it or not. So he's just great. He's really good at sharing knowledge. Like once Jordan realized who he was, like every time he comes in, they nerd out a little bit. So that's fun. But it's kind of nice to talk to people who are like actually a little bit more in the loop with UFO stuff, and like, some of my military clients seem to just know a little bit more. Like even if it's still just theory, like they hear different sides than what we hear, like when they've actually like talk to people who have seen things firsthand, instead of like, where we hear it, where it's so filtered down and it's been handed through the news and things like that. Like it's kind of cool just to hear like the more authentic versions of some of these stories.
Yeah, I feel that.
And he's also a super rad tattoo collector. So he's got a lot of really cool stories behind his sleeve that we just recently completed. And I would love to talk to him about like science stuff, technology stuff, and tatties. So we're going to try hard to make it happen. There's a few other people that have just been hard to like get our schedules to line up, but we've got a lot of good guests just like waiting for schedules to align right. Next week, my my longtime like childhood friend, her name is Faith, is going to be joining us. She's actually a lot like 8 years older than me. So I was like a little kid when we met. But she is probably one of the first like heavily tattooed women that I knew. Like she's got a beautiful back piece. She's got a lot of work from a lot of different artists. She's got my very first portrait that I've ever tattooed. It's a Jerry Garcia, which is kind of cool that the Grateful Dead's behind you there while I'm talking about her. So she'll probably, if all goes as planned, she'll be joining us in person. And then if we can get one of our other guests who we haven't connected with previously, get them to join us on the Zoom, it'll be a great show.
Yeah.
You'll like Faith a lot. I feel like the two of you are going to be able to talk about like whooped out bestie stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. And, festival art. And she's all about that life.
Oh yeah.
So I think next week's going to be a super fun show. She's a talker. She's a lot of fun. If Faith is able to join us, we will do nothing but laugh. So it'll be a good show.
Heck yeah.
We'll be talking about probably like 90s and early 2000s tattoo scenes a lot. So
We
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it'll be a good episode. So, alrighty, guys. Well, have a great week, and we will be back next week to talk some more tattoo shenanigans and
All the stuff.
yeah, all the stuff.
Aliens.
All right, guys. Love.